What's up, weebs? Welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and have a look at everything it has to offer. As always, I'm your host, Notorious, and join me once again today after the introduction is done for this EX episode is Shaun and Melina, because this is an episode where we're bringing together all of the Season 1 segments of Lupin the Third. So when Season 2 is done, there will be another EX episode where we bring together all of those segments. And then maybe later, we never know, we'll draw all of them together at some point. That's going to be a really long video because this one was already getting pretty long when I was editing it. So in today's episode, I'm drawing together the segments from our very first episode where we covered Lupin III, Castle of Cagliostro. Our second episode where we covered the Mystery of Mamo. Episode 8 where we covered Lupin III the First. Episode 19 where we covered Lupin Dead or Alive, and episode 24 where we covered The Farewell to Nostradamus. Castle of Cagliostro. Wow, I cannot. That's quite the tongue twister. Castle of Cagliostro was released in December 15th, 1979, was directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and was written by Miyazaki and Haruya Yamazaki. Mystery of Mamo was released December 16th, 1978, directed by Soji Yoshikawa, written by Yoshikawa and Atsushi Yamatoya. The first was released December 6th, 2019, directed by Takashi Yamazaki, and also written by him. Lupin Dead or Alive was released April 20th, 1996. It was directed by author Monkey Punch and written by Hiroshi Kashiwabara. And Nostradamus was released April 22nd, 1995, directed by Shunya Ito and Takeshi Hirato, and written by Hiroshi Kashiwabara and Shunya Ito. All of the animation production was by TMS Entertainment, with the exception of the first, where Marza Animation Planet also were involved, and music for all was produced by Yuji Ono. A very long introduction for all of those movies. So yeah, I'll pass you along to our past selves. So anyway, I think we'll move on to Lupin.
We can get to the actual real discussion.
Yeah, so I think this is where these are the ones that I think we all enjoyed.
We watched together.
So we watched Lupin the Third, Castle of Cagliostro last time that we saw each other in person. I think I got the impression that, or Shaun definitely enjoyed it.
That was a really good movie.
Yeah, I was surprised by how much you liked it.
I was surprised as well, because when we started it, I mean, you said that it was. Did you say it was like lighthearted or?
As far as Lupin as a series goes, this is like the most lighthearted I think it gets.
Yeah. I got the vibe like beforehand that you mentioned it was like a sort of fun movie. Which
yeah, it is.
I enjoy. I'm fun in a movie. If I'm having fun watching a movie, that's a good movie to me. But like it hits sort of the notes in like a sort of movie from like an anime movie that I really like.
Yeah.
So I was shocked about that as well.
I mean, it's directed by Miyazaki, so it has his handprint all over it. Because this was his first ever, theatrical production, and then this came out in 79, so like 6 years later, I think, is when he done Nausicaa, and then obviously Ghibli.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Afterwards, so this was like his big break, so to speak, and I think it definitely did well. It's become. I think everything I've picked is somehow part of the anime culture.
Yeah, they're like not cornerstones. Would that be?
Yeah, I'd say so. I try to avoid picking like I try to avoid picking everything being a pillar. So I wouldn't say this is a pillar so much as like it forms the floor.
Yeah.
So like if Ghost in the Shell's a pillar, Akira is as well.
Like it lightly defined, but heavily defined.
So like Ghost in the Shell and Akira very much define anime in the West, and then you've got Lupin, you've got Castle Cagliostro, which is like the floor that's made from those pillars. A weird analogy.
No, I think it makes sense.
But yeah, no, I was surprised by how much fun you had. You were very vocal that you had a lot of fun.
I was loving that movie. I'm not even sure if it was because we were all watching it or but because like a sort of weakness I can have for a movie is that if I see something to like maybe not point fun of, but like something to like joke about, I will do it, and a lot of the times it's a weakness and I hate myself for it.
Look,
a lot, but
if it's the right moment, if it's not like, for example, old Logan dying. Like,
yeah, I
that's the
try
moment.
not to do heavy story scenes if I'm doing
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
'cause,
to be fair, I think I remember when, you know, Fujiko like first like strips off and not strips off her clothes, but like to
she
the,
takes off like the disguise she's wearing into
yeah.
something else, and like
and we all I think it was Melina went, whoa, you didn't need to do that.
I had that thought because we rewatched these as well just before
Yeah.
like the night before we filmed this, and I did the exact same thing. Like the second time she does it, she's in like a news reporter.
She
like,
doesn't actually that's the time where she doesn't have to.
Yeah, she does the stereotypical like stripper sort of like takeoff, and I'm like, whoa, girl, now's not the time. There's a camera there. Although that is immediately followed up with possibly my favorite part of the entire movie,
Where she just shoots someone.
where like I got. And Amuk comes down, like, and just without any hesitation, she just immediately shoots someone, goes right back to reporting. Or fake reporting.
Professionalism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, straight professionalism. It is such a good, like, 5 seconds. I love it.
For how little she's in the movie, she certainly carries like a certain
God,
weight
yeah.
for the film.
I mean, you remember right after that finished, I was like, she needs her own, like, series or movie.
And that's when I went, hey, I have the right thing
And
for you.
It turns out she did.
Yes, there's one called Women Called Fujikomine, which was like 2012 or something. It's very dark, different animation style. The opening features many titties. Just have to put it out there.
We can talk about this more in Ghost in the Shell.
For both Ghost in the Shell and Fujikomine, I'd say it's a tasteful thing. Like the
Yeah.
whole opening is, I think, it's not directly like quoting Wuthering Heights, but like it's a sort of play on that type of thing. Because it's a lot about her kind of like backstory as a character and like her life in general, and like, you know, being a troubled child and not having a great parents. I think I haven't seen the series in a while, but yeah, it's different from this. Like that's
Yeah, I mean, you've said, like, already that this is a lot more lighthearted, or just like a little bit lighthearted.
this is the thing, is like Lupin doesn't take itself too seriously, but this is like a different interpretation of the character,
Okay.
because like in this he's the hero,
Yeah.
and
Creepy one.
uh,
Yes.
We'll go into that in a bit.
Yeah. In most other Lupin films, he's a bit of an anti-hero. I'd say the only other one that really taps into what Cagliostro does is Lupin the Third, the First, which is a hell of a title to say. But that's like a special movie, and that is like CG.
Yeah.
So it's like it taps into a bunch of different parts of the series. Part 3 I think aired in the 80s, so it's like
Okay.
it's 80s. So you know, but I'd say in general he's more of an anti-hero than he is a hero.
Okay.
So I think a lot of people watch this and then they try and watch other parts of the series and it maybe doesn't jive with them as well.
I was gonna
because-
say, I'm scared that might be happening to me if I try and watch more stuff. I mean, who knows? I might end up really like jiving with both.
Yeah.
But I hope watching this first hasn't like given me a specific
Yeah, I think
interpretation.
that was my concern with watching Cagliostro first, but then I really enjoyed Fujikomine, which I'd say is like, if there's a scale, like most of Lupin is in the middle, then this is like on Cagliostro is on this side of like lighthearted, and then Fujikomine is on this side of darkness.
Okay, cool.
Because when I say it's dark, I mean both thematically and quite
Literally.
aesthetically. It's
Yeah.
literally quite dark.
I mean, from the art style, from seeing, just because you showed like the art book, I think was it that movie?
Yeah, that was for the series.
From just the sketches alone, I could sort of tell that like, okay, there's more shading.
Yeah, it's got a rougher art style and there's a lot more kind of darker color palette.
Yeah, I could
used.
tell that even like there. So
I think even just looking at the front cover of the box, you kind of get that vibe. It's, you know, this is very bright and colorful, and then like it's kind of washed out for Fujikomine. So yeah, very fun movie. I've always enjoyed.
yeah,
this.
it was really fun to watch, and I liked that.
So I should mention there's two dubs, and obviously the original Japanese version. We watched the second dub because it was originally dubbed by Streamline Pictures, and then Manga Entertainment later in 2000, which featured David Hayter as Lupin, probably one of my favorite people to voice Lupin. I think he's mainly voiced by a guy called Tony Oliver now. But the other Cagliostro, I haven't mentioned this, but So the full character's name is Arsène Lupin III, who is a reference to a French character called Arsène Lupin, who you maybe only really know from like Sherlock Holmes versus Lupin.
Okay.
He's
Actually,
a very
I have heard of that. Actually.
he's basically the French version of, well, he's the opposite of Sherlock in that sense, where he is a master thief and stuff. Yeah, he's like a mirror. He is a very real character. From I don't know when the books were written, but basically because of this, Monkey Punch, the original author of the manga, didn't go seeking permission for the character.
Oh, fuck that.
So this, Lupin the Third is meant to be his grandson, and that meant that when, early on when they were bringing over some of them, they couldn't use the name Lupin. They could use it on like the box art, but they couldn't call the character Lupin. So in the other Cagliostro dub, he's called Wolf.
Oh,
that's wrong.
Yeah.
That screams like Xbox gamer tag energy.
So they didn't rename any other character.
Not even like Goemon.
No, not Goemon, who I think is based on like a Japanese legend. I want to say.
I did look him up after he's rewatching it last night, and
Goemon something like he has a number as well. He has like a number attached to his name.
Yeah.
I think that would mean that I forgot his name. Shit, he's my like favorite character from the series. Oh,
look,
with the
I
gun.
don't know the names.
Why am I totally blanking on this?
Detective?
No, not
Beard
the detective. Man? Beard guy.
Hold on.
Yeah, him.
I can't remember his name either.
I'm so annoyed. I know his voice actor is Richard Epcar, because he's like the most consistent voice actor from the series.
That makes weirdly a lot of sense for his character.
He's also the English dub voice of Bato from Ghost in the Shell.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense, doesn't it?
I did think, like, as I was rewatching this, like, wow, that character and this character are a little bit similar.
Yeah. I'm totally Jigen, Daisuke Jigen.
Yeah.
I think that makes him like the most original character then, because obviously Goemon and Lupin are based on previously established people.
What about Gustav?
Sorry
to jump that in there. We had to talk about Gustav at some point. The MVP of the whole movie.
This is the thing. Is like it's such a strange like cultural mishmash that goes on in the movie. You've got very European, like a lot of different kind of influences going on, and then you've just got Zenigata coming in with the Japanese police.
Yeah, like in my head, like is the whole country called Castle?
I think it's officially considered a state or something like that. So I would assume it's like a duchy type thing.
I've been thinking of it as like an independent country, because in my head it's more like Liechtenstein. Very sorry to anyone from there listening into this, but
you're probably used to it.
So sorry, but that's like the sort of country I'm thinking of in my head, because that's like right next to France. And and it's tiny. But then you've got Gustav, who's very German.
Very German.
And
I'd say like there's a and I don't know if this is just because like there's something about Lupin that's always resonated with like the Italian audience, to the point that Part 4 has its own Italian version.
I wanted to bring this up because I told my girlfriend, I watched Lupin Castle of Cagliostro. I watched it so much as a kid. I was like, this slipped my mind so many times. I meant to ask you if your boyfriend knew anything about it, because it does so well in Italy, and I can't fathom why. Like, it just does. It's almost like Dragon Ball here is quite big, but it is nothing compared to the Latin countries.
Latin American. Yeah. Well, not Latin American, but like Spain, and then South America.
No, that includes France.
I
was gonna say Romance language countries.
Yeah, that sort of
France.
Mexican, Spanish. Those sort of. They are mad for it. Like, it's massive compared to here, which it's like it's one of the foundations.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't really get the.
I didn't really ask why and such, but apparently it's just a common thing. Everyone's seen it when they grew up. I mean, it came out like 79, so a lot of people grew up with it. So I don't know if it's as popular now.
Well, so I think they done TV specials for a long time, and they still do this. Like every year, there's a TV special of Lupin, but like in terms of TV series, Part 3 was the last one for a long time. So that finished in the 80s, and then in 2014 or 2015, they brought it back for another TV series, and it aired first in Italy. It didn't air in Japan first. It aired in Italy with like its own set of like credits, its own set of like opening themes, character introductions, to the point that like the English dub version is based on that, but then there's also the Japanese version, which is subtitled, so you can't buy, that has everything on one disc. You can't buy a Part 4 set with both English and Japanese on it. You got to buy the dub version and the sub version. So I only have the dub version upstairs. That's the one that's on my shelf, because Part 4 subbed was just out of print for a long time here.
Wow.
Yeah, only recently came out, I think, in standard edition, because it was on, limited edition
From
things.
That time.
Yeah. Again, it's something that just totally fascinates me, where like these things resonate.
It's like the classic sort of, to go outside of anime, it's like that, I will not say infamous, that classic like TV trope, to call it, of like Germans love David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, that's another
like,
weird one.
A product, we'll just call it that, is really popular in a foreign country, like way unexpectedly.
Yeah, so this is actually another thing recently has been a symptom of that. I don't know how to phrase this, but basically, so there's a series in Japan, a light novel series called In Another World with My Smartphone. And there was an anime adaptation however many years ago, and like I guess it does okay in Japan, but there's a second season being commissioned recently off the back of the fact that it does so well here. It sells so incredibly well in the English speaking territories that they've commissioned a second season off the back of that, which I think has to be one of the first times I've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I think Part 4 was commissioned off the back of the Italian audience. But still, it's so weird to think that like something so culturally specific as anime is now being influenced by the wider world's consumption of it. That's so bizarre to me. We haven't actually talked about the content of Cagliostro yet.
I mean, this is just us like all the time. We start with a concept and then we go on tangents and then tangents of those tangents.
So to get back to the story of Cagliostro, how would you what did you think of that? If we focus on like each part of the film itself.
I keep using the word fun, and I don't want to keep using it, but it is a fun story. It's nice. It sort of bounces not all over the place. Like, I mean, like location-wise, because you start out the movie, there's no introduction to character or anything. The movie just starts, and they're already robbing a casino.
Still one of my favorite scenes of like animation and music.
Oh yeah,
because it is so amazingly timed with when
I love that jump.
The jump, and the way the music's timed, still absolutely fantastic.
It was at that moment I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm using the word. I'm gonna try and limit myself to the word fun from this point out, because I just keep saying that over and over again.
I think that whole opening sequence where it's like, you see them come down and then the alarms go up, but then the music kind of comes in off the back of that. I think it's so well like timed and like perfectly coordinated.
And then you've got like the guards coming in and like their diegetic sounds of trying to catch them and stuff, and it's just nice.
Yeah, this was the thing of like, sometimes it doesn't jump out to me, but for both Lupin and Ghost in the Shell, there's times where the sound design really pops for me. But yeah, no, so it opens with them, robbing a bank. They realize the money's fake.
And then just yeet it.
And just yeet it.
I mean, it's not like they even yeet it, it's just gone.
Yeah.
In the next scene.
And then they go to Cagliostro, because apparently Lupin knows that that's where the fake money's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, it's explained later on that like, well, isn't it explained that like there's a legend that it comes from there?
I think so.
And it is explained later on that he's been there before trying to find it, which is where like he encounters the love interest of the movie.
Okay.
who at the time is very young.
We're going. Should we go into this now?
Yeah,
Let's go, because I think this is everyone's kind of criticism of the movie, and it's.
Let's first establish, how old is Lupin supposed to be?
Lupin in the flashback, he's supposed to be like 19.
In the
I want to say,
flashback.
yeah.
Which means
He's like 29 because like 10 years
Yeah.
have passed, or I want to say they say 10 years.
I think they're again very like well,
They're
we
very
don't know
loose.
exactly how old
I
he
took
is.
it as like 10 years.
Yeah, I would say he's like late 20s.
Yeah, so like he's, I mean, he looks exactly the same in the
Yes.
flashback.
So the age, according to the Lupin wiki, is late 20s to early 30s. That's it.
Okay, let's for his sake say 29.
Yeah,
Yeah.
29.
Just to make this less bad for him.
Yeah.
Because like the girl,
I mean,
if
she's still
you showed
like
me
10.
a picture of her, I would say 13.
Oh yeah, 100%.
14.
So this is a sort of thing that I think, Miyazaki has a reputation as a great filmmaker, but also a grumpy old man.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of the things he complains about when it comes to anime now are directly because of him. Because this whole, looking younger than their actual age, is practically stems from this movie.
Yeah,
Clarice is one of the original archetypes of that, and she's actually one of the original archetypes for what would eventually become the whole lolly thing.
Oh, God, no.
And it's Miyazaki that further reinforced that with other movies that he made. Obviously, other directors, writers, and mangaka took that and developed it into what it is now. But it's still his.
Yeah.
He's got like his marks all over that, whether he likes it or not.
Exactly, and because we talked about this when we were watching it. It was like, how old is she? And according to her biography on the Lupin.wiki fandom thing, it's like 18, 19.
Yeah, so she's
I
10
feel
years
like-
younger than him.
Yeah.
And
But
in
they're
that flashback,
really pushing it to be like, she's legal.
Yeah,
She's
but
legal.
that's
She is
that.
just legal.
Unfortunately, that is a trope of anime.
Yeah.
If they're not, it's not mentioned. Like, you see it a lot. Like, a lot of stuff is based in high school, so they're like 15, 16, but they don't look 15, 16.
there's always that joke of like the 15-year-old boy that's like muscle building.
I mean, Jotaro's 15.
Fuck, he is! Ah!
Jotaro is 15 but looks 30.
Oh, no. I hate it.
Kakyoin's also 15 and he's a fucking MILF hunter.
Oh, God, no.
JoJo's characters.
Back to Lupin.
Yeah, it was not necessarily a distraction, but I feel like while we were watching it, you
came
have
up.
to comment.
You have to
on
comment on it for
it. 'Cause
sure.
Look, if she looked older,
Yeah.
I would have had less of an issue with it.
Mhm.
But it was just very jarring to see at times.
Definitely.
Even though animated and everything, it can happen, I suppose. Should it?
It's almost a weird kind of American Beauty thing, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like,
But I feel
you
like
kind of have
American-
to comment on it.
American Beauty at least addresses this is fucked up.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, the whole. I'm not sure if the whole point of the movie. I've not seen American Beauty.
I think
so
that's the
can't really
point of the
Honestly,
movie,
yeah.
yeah.
But like the whole point of the movie, from what I know, is that this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Cagliostro, it's almost like, it goes out of its way to say, she is legal now. And it's like, this is a weird thing of anime from that time. It's like, City Hunter, which came out in the 80s. Ryo Saiba, the main character, is like very much a womanizer. And if he ends up encountering a girl who's like, underage, who's under the age of 18, he's like, oh, call me in 10 years. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yikes.
It's a weird, just like not normal. I don't want to call it normal. It's such a standard thing in anime for me that like I don't.
Casual.
Yeah, I almost don't
Yeah.
bat an eye at it anymore. So it took you two pointing it out for me to go, oh yeah, this is kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'm specifically thinking of like the flashback, like where it becomes really apparent.
Oh yeah, where she's like 10.
Yeah, because like I mean, he looks exactly the same. As
Yeah,
we mentioned
he doesn't-
before, but she very much is a child,
Oh yeah, 100%.
and like it recontextualizes all the times where he's like flirting with her.
Yeah, I mean, the first time they meet, he like properly lays it on thick, and you're kind of already you're like, oh, come on, she's like 14.
Yeah.
And then you see the flashback, and it's like, wait, how old is she?
Yeah, that's when you go, oh Jesus, this is way worse than I imagined.
Yeah, like that's what everyone points out when they've watched it for the first time as an adult. I think if you watch it when you're younger, you're not necessarily going to pick up on it.
Like, I don't want to go on a tangent about this, but you know when you're 15, you think you're the most mature thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And you're like, I could date a 30-year-old. We're basically as mature as each other.
I mean, there are people who are into that.
Look, it's... Like 15 and 30 is just wrong.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right.
He's not defending it.
No, I'm just saying that unfortunately there is a whole sub-culture of the internet where it is a thing for kids to seek adults and adults to seek kids. I say kids, teenagers, they're still kids.
And they get put on FBI lists.
Yes, exactly.
Whenever I see it, I just feel very bad for like the younger person.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Because they don't.
You're a child. You don't know, but you cannot be blamed for this. You think you're the best. You think I'm an adult. My mom doesn't let me go out past midnight, but I'm an adult.
Your brain has not matured enough to realize this decision that you're making is inherently disgusting and wrong. Yeah,
and you don't realize until you're like 30 yourself, but you're like, if I had to talk to a 15-year-old. Would be fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck would I talk about? Even now, I'm like, what do 15-year-olds do?
Yeah, I'm the exact same. Yeah.
Like,
you go on the TikTok? Yeah.
My worst thing is I work in a supermarket, so I have to see teenagers all the time, and I'm like, please don't interact with me because I don't want to have to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk to you because you are a little cretin.
Them kids.
I've got like a little sister, and she's only like 4 years like younger than me. But even now, I'm like, what do you do? What do you and your friends do? What do the kids these days do?
Yeah.
Like TikToks.
The TikToks.
and you want to be, the person that's like, I'm in tune with the kids. It's like, so, have you been on the Wii lately?
You playing your Nintendos?
I mean, that's you because you're out of touch with gaming.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I have a little cousin who I used to babysit, and every time I show up, I'm like, Minecraft, huh?
I mean, to be fair, that's still a safe bet.
Yeah, like, Minecraft is still pretty... Well, not as popular, obviously, but it's still pretty popular.
It's wormed its way into being like a cornerstone of video games at this point.
It managed to claw its way back as well.
It's like it's on every platform. It's so widely available. I don't
want to go on a tangent.
I know. I was going to say we've gone on such a tangent again.
Back to Lupin.
So that aside, it's.
Do you want to talk about the hooded man or?
Yeah, the whole hooded man thing.
Look. Catholicism is a thing. They have some fucked up things, and like I think when you look at ancient Catholicism, it was a thing.
Catholicism.
Like when you look at the history of it, I think it was a normal thing. At some point, they had hoods, and they were not.
I mean,
bad at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I will say, I saw a picture recently of like a celebration or like a ritual in like Mexico or whatever where they have the straight up white hoods, and like a lot of people were like, oh shit, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think it is a cultural thing where it's like, to us it means something very different.
Oh
yeah, because I mean
yeah, I mean, we seen that and we're like, oh, it's the Klan.
Yeah, like literally straight up we talked about this. I think I was the one that mentioned it first, because it was like a faraway shot. You can see the outline.
Yeah, and it's like,
oh shit, the Klan.
It's so far away that you're like, I don't actually quite understand the like outline of this person yet, and then you suddenly have this close up. You're like, oh no.
The thing is, I made a joke about that first, like a silhouette, because I was like, oh, they won't be doing that, but it kind of looks like it, so I'll make a joke. And then they immediately go to a close up, and it actually is like purple hooded Klan members, and I was like, oh fuck, I was joking.
Yeah,
but now it's very real.
We all had a moment like, is it gonna take a turn? Like, what does this nation stand for exactly?
I mean, we've seen the count.
Yeah,
I would believe that. You mean he would have?
He would watch Tucker Carlson.
Oh. Can we just not mention?
Let's not go with that. Yeah,
Kremlin again.
He'd have Fox News on all the time.
Yeah, you would.
Man, yeah, he's
in his weird fucking helicopter bike thingy.
yeah. He has such a distinct face, like design.
It does. It's so much like a box.
Yeah, and then you got the little goblin of his assistant.
Yeah, the little Renfield.
Yeah, who's apparently one of the monkey ninja things.
Oh, the monkey ninjas.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I picked it up the first time, but I was very sad rewatching it because I think I forgot that all the monkey people are actual people.
Yeah.
And not just weird abominations.
What bothered me about that is like I'm watching it and I'm like, where's the part where they're the robots or something? Because I'm like, they're not human people. I feel like they kind of find one of the like gauntlet things and I'm like, is this the one where they're robots? Because that's such like a a generic convention of that sort of thing. So I'm like, there's no way these are human people. Not the way they're moving, the little fucking
and they
weirdos.
come the fuck out of nowhere as well. Like it's after like the first day they're in Cagliostro. I think they've just had the scene where like Lupin explains he's been here before to like bearded man.
Yeah.
And I'm just calling him bearded man now.
Yeah.
But
the gardener. Yeah.
No. I mean.
Oh, Jigen.
Yeah. I'm just gonna call him bearded man.
That was what confused me because there's
the gardener.
There's the gardener who's a bearded man,
who also does pop up again, which is unexpected.
Yes, yeah.
But it's after that scene they come in for the night, and then they get attacked by the monkey ninja people.
Yeah, they just come out of nowhere,
and you're just like, what the fuck?
Because it's mostly their mannerisms. It's not like particularly what they look like. It's just the way they
move. Because like the door opens and they just suddenly file in the strangest way possible.
The best part though is when he's talking to Clarice in the tower and suddenly the lights go on and they just all shuffle in.
Yeah.
They just shuffle in.
Like they just were like hidden behind pillars and no one just heard like a stack of monkey people behind a pillar.
Oh, that also reminds me of when the blonde lady
Fujiko,
yeah, when Fujiko's like and has his like her eyes in the painting because that old convention,
yeah.
and then like the count goes, "Who's there?" Like he's just sensed her, and then we go to the painting, which you clearly see she's disappeared from now because the eye holes aren't filled, and then it just slowly goes down to the butler.
Yeah,
it's pure comedy gold.
Yeah. It's a very funny movie. The comedy timing is very good in it.
Great.
And of course, Gustav.
And Gustav, yeah.
Gustav.
I feel like that's like a nice little flair from the dub. Because like I was looking through for the sort of like character name changes because I knew obviously that like, or I had in my mind I was like, is this the one where they changed him to the wolf for the dub? And for strangely in the streamlined dub, they changed Zenigata's name slightly. So his full name, which I don't think's ever actually mentioned, is Inspector Koichi Zenigata. But apparently in the Streamline Pictures dub, it's Inspector Kaibu Zenigata. And I'm like, why? I don't think there's any point in the movie where he even mentions his full name. They just Lupin always refers to him as I think it's G-san, and then it's like rendered as old man in the subtitles.
He does call him old man a lot.
Yeah, because in most of the other versions, it's translated as Pops, because it's like it's either OG-san or G-san or something that he refers to him as, which is like a Japanese term for
that makes sense.
Older men. OG-san would be like your granddad type thing.
Okay.
But yeah,
the
so
OG.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I can't find Gustav on the character list.
This episode is also dedicated to Gustav.
Who's just such a Arnold Schwarzenegger type.
You know that's who they were riffing on.
100%.
Which is weird because, well, Terminator didn't come out until like, what, 2 years after this?
I mean, we're talking about the dub though, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, you're right. But, like, that's definitely who they based the voice on, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, just voice on. I'm not thinking, like, physicality.
I'm forgetting the dub came out in, like, 2000.
Yeah, you have to keep that in mind.
But
I mean, I'd be surprised if David Hayter was doing, like voice actor work in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This was still very early in his voice acting career. I think he had done Guyver, which was another anime series before that, because he's working with Animes, which is the company that dubbed it on manga's behalf. So he's been in sort of really odd, unexpected anime dubs. Like, I don't think you expect him to be
I mean,
in Cagliostro.
I didn't catch that it was really him until like after, because I had to ask, like, so who was he
I think it's one of those kind of like testaments to him as a voice actor that he has got quite a good range. It's like a lot of people expect
the obviously Solid Snake voice, but that's not what he sounds like.
No.
I mean, even just recently, this is a tangent, I know, but there's a Did You Know Gaming video that's come out like 2 days ago or whatever that he actually voices. Like, he does
really?
the stuff for that, and he starts off like sort of doing the Snake voice, like as like, did you know? But then he goes into his normal voice, and you're like, wait, is that him?
Yeah.
After hearing that, by the way, it was painfully obvious that it's him.
Yeah, once you hear his normal voice, you realize it's him.
But it's fantastic work.
Yeah,
it's just a very wholesome.
It is a very wholesome movie.
With its faults, but I think it again exists.
Yeah,
it's its time and a culture of its time, and
I'd say it's it's very endearing.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of heart to it, and the animation is as simplistic as it is very well done. And music wise, like I said, the soundtrack's very good. And funnily enough, I didn't realize this until you guys had left after we watched it. This doesn't actually use the main Lupin theme at all. So there's a character theme for Lupin, which I can't let you hear on the podcast. I'll let you listen to after it, which is used pretty much tons after, and it is a fantastic piece of music, because basically Yuji Ono, the guy who produced the soundtrack for this, is still the composer now, and he's just such a fantastic composer. It's so much of like a funk and jazz influence. It's just very nice.
That movie was wild as shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The point I was trying to make is that this movie is wild as shit. Okay, where do I even start? Okay,
That's
so
a good comment. Where to start?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
okay, to start with, I'm the one I feel like that not that I enjoyed Cagliostro the most, but like I feel like I was the one that was most open about how much I liked
responded
Cagliostro.
to it the most.
Yeah, so going in, I don't want to say I had like high expectations,
Yeah.
but like I was expecting something pretty nice, or at least not similar, because you've already told me that like tone wise it's a bit dark. All the other ones are a bit darker than Cagliostro, but it started off strong. I will say that. In the first like, I don't know, half an hour maybe 20 minutes, like I was getting the same vibes as Cagliostro. I was getting into it. It felt great. And then I can pinpoint the moment when it just started to go down for me, when they hit like the desert. And they're like walking through and all that. That's when it started to get slow. And then after that, it just got wilder and wilder and wilder to the point where at the end, spoiler alert, I'm just going to say this right now, there's a giant fucking brain in this movie.
So if you haven't seen this movie, pause this episode, go watch it, and come back to us. So what I'm going to start trying to do in the episode is cover where people can watch these things, because
Okay. Makes sense.
So Lupin III is messily available in the UK. If you're living in the UK and listening to this, if you want to watch Mystery of Mamo, the only way you can do it is by going to CEX and picking up the Secret of Mamo manga DVD release, which doesn't have the dub we watched. I don't think it does anyway. I assume it has the manga entertainment dub, which calls him Wolf the Third, like we discussed in the last episode, which I hate. I just can't imagine that scene early in the movie between Lupin and Fujiko, where he gives her the rock, where he's calling him Wolf, where she calls him Wolf. I just couldn't imagine that.
That's too far.
Yeah.
No.
And we'll get into like that, how their whole flirtatious relationship is played out later.
Yeah.
But just saying that now, that's too much.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not available on Blu-ray in the UK. If you want to get the US release, which, if you have a region-free Blu-ray player you can watch, you can grab that from up1.co.uk or Amazon, I think, probably, but it's probably cheaper from Up One. So yeah, anyway, sorry to derail what you were saying, but
No,
just
ahead.
to point out to people, if you haven't seen this movie, categorically fucking watch this before
absolutely.
we talk about it. Because I think if anyone has listened to this and has never seen any Lupin, even after watching last week's episode, or whenever the last one came out, because we're not on a weekly schedule, if anyone's just listened to that, they've got a very different impression of what Lupin is to what we're about to say now. So, you know,
Yeah.
watch Cagliostro, watch Mamo. Don't just go into this conversation we're about to have blind, because it's gonna be fucking wild.
You will be so lost.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like, this movie never goes in any fucking direction you expect it
No.
to.
God, no. This was so far from what I kind of expected.
Yeah, same. I think the way it's been described from, I think, sort of like, you know, anime news sites and stuff, is that this is slightly closer to Monkey Punch's manga, which makes sense because tonally, I'd say the TV series always kind of, even before Miyazaki came in and done Cagliostro and kind of trajectory changed the entire thing, was maybe a little more sanitized. Because Lupin's always, I mentioned this when I was watching it, the relationship here in Mamo between Fujiko and Lupin is so far fucking beyond any normal
it's
relationship
just,
they have.
like, it made me so uncomfortable.
Oh, same.
To the point where I was like, I feel like she should say something and he should respect
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the sort of vibe I got from Cagliostro. Because like,
Yeah.
I also want to say by the way, Fujiko and Cagliostro and Fujiko here feel like two kind of different characters.
Yeah.
I had to look up whether they were the same person.
Yeah.
She
Because I
even
was
like
what
looks
the fuck?
different.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
this is the
she's
thing.
blonde in Cagliostro, but she's very much a brunette. In,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
this
that's the thing, is like, especially if we keep covering kind of the movies and the TV specials, the styles kind of change quite a lot.
Okay.
And I
That's
think
fair,
this
but-
is where this is kind of ties more into being closer to Monkey Punch's manga, especially stylistically. Like, Lupin's design freaks me the fuck out in this movie.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
It just, I saw for the first time like in the castle, I think, in the beginning, and I was like, huh,
He's a little top heavy.
yeah. There's just something about him where I was like, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. I get that from most characters. I think Jigen is like the most, because you can't really change his design too much.
No.
Yeah.
And like, Goemon looks kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
we were talking about, we mentioned this at some point, like when we were just talking about our reactions and stuff. Like, I made the comparison that his head shape sort of looks like a banana.
A little bit. That's the thing.
yeah.
Everyone's head's kind of oddly shaped when you see them from the side in
Yeah.
this movie. But going back to Fujiko, her characterization is so fucking wild in this movie compared to everything else I've seen from Lupin, which isn't much. But I'd say I've got a good grasp of what her character's normally like, which is very self-assured, very comfortable as a woman, very badass.
Yeah.
Confident, like
Yes.
sure of herself,
Uh-huh.
capable.
Oh yeah. I
And-
loved her in the last.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Fujiko I wanted to see
Exactly.
a series
Yeah.
of, because she was so cool.
Having just watched part 4, like not long before we watched this, I love Fujiko's character, and I like her relationship with Lupin as a very kind of flirtatious, playful, will they, won't they type relationship.
Yeah.
And she clearly, you know, can stand on her own, whereas this movie
No.
did not
No.
let her do any
Girl
of
need
that.
a man.
Yeah, she's very damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is one of the big disappointments from
Yeah.
this movie for me.
I sort of get
Same.
what they were going for, but the execution failed so hard.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just so, it felt so sexualized in a way as well. Like, you know how we nowadays have a lot of movie where they're like, we need one like shirtless scene or one like
Yeah.
getting dressed scene. Like the one that disturbed me most was like Star Trek Into Darkness had one of the girl getting
Yeah,
changed. And
just-
yeah.
I feel like
No
everyone
rhyme or
sat there
reason.
was like, why?
Yep,
We
that's
need an underwear shot. We
Yeah.
just do.
the
And
male
that's
gaze.
what this felt like to me
Yeah.
as well, because it, like, when we first saw her, was she like,
Oh, she's full ass
showering?
naked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like she's in a bed, but she's full on like
Like,
naked.
you can do that in a badass way, like, I own it, and
Yeah.
but she was just, it felt like she was very
Yeah.
male gazed.
Yeah.
Especially in this movie, because mostly going forward, I think until Woman Called Fujiko Mine, where it's handled very differently, you never see her fully naked as far as I'm aware. And again, in this one, it's weird and hypersexualized to a disturbing degree, especially when,
Like you said, literally the first time we see her.
yeah, she's fully naked and then she's showering, and it's so
Someone's watching her.
Someone's watching, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's trying to
play on the whole male gaze thing, and like Mamo does bring it up later when he's got Lupin in the machine to like look into his dreams, and it's like tits, Zenigata, tits, Fujiko, tits, fucking Fujiko, tits.
Which I'm sad to say I sort of laughed at.
I laughed at it as well, mainly because Zenigata is the first one to show up after the tits. I'm like, yeah, that kind of scans for the relationship, I suppose.
Yeah, Zenigata is still the best character in these movies. Even this movie couldn't bring him down.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I guess it does try and comment on that in a way, but it doesn't do it in any meaningful way.
No, they could have turned it around and had the badass girl and went, I don't need any of you. But no,
No, she's fully a damsel in distress in this movie.
And like, I don't know if it's the same voice actress for all of them, but just having the very high-pitched squealy voice doesn't help.
She was very... The comparison I had in my head multiple times was she's very Princess Peach.
Yeah,
a little bit,
right.
And that's not the bar you really want to go for.
So, going forward when we're watching Lupin stuff, this will probably be the voice cast that we'll hear, other than Zenigata, who does change after this.
Okay.
Thank God. I hated Zenigata's voice in this movie so much. Because at first it sounds a lot like Doug Erholtz, who voices him now, but it's I think it's someone called Jake Martin, who I think it's a pseudonym. So it's a lot of non-union dubs back then. They would use different names and stuff. And he sounds kind of similar, but then he keeps talking, and I'm like, oh, you sound like a bad parody of this character. But yeah, so this is like the sort of concrete cast. You got Tony Oliver as Lupin, Richard Epcar as Jigen, Lex Lang as Goemon, the voice of Neo Cortex.
Yes! Yeah, I can hear it now as well. That is amazing.
Yep. And then you've got Michelle Ruff as Fujiko, and I think you can tell that this was one of their very early works.
This is very much a break-in for all these characters.
Especially Michelle Ruff as Fujiko. Like, I think I mentioned this to you, Shaun, is that, you know, she has a very seductive, sultry voice in a lot of the later stuff with Michelle Ruff. Here, I can hear it at times, but a lot of the time it's very much not there. And I don't know if that's the direction, even though this is directed by Richard Epcar, who also directed Part 4's dub, which is very good, or if it's just the material they're working with for the movie. I don't like... Well, yeah, no one sounds quite right in this movie to me, I don't think. Especially Fujiko. She sounds...
I think Princess Peach is a very good way to describe it. You know, and when you play it, she doesn't really say anything. She just kind of goes,
Like, I think, you know, Fujiko's characterization is going to be a sticking point for us throughout it.
Oh, yeah. Because we all loved her so much.
Oh, yeah.
She was so cool.
And then to go to this, where we were all like, go! Aww.
Yeah, like, I knew nothing about Mamo before I went into it, and like the first scene I see her, I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck am I getting into here? I first
genuinely thought it wasn't her. I was like, some new female character. And then I was like,
this is gonna be our I forget the princess in Castle of Cagliostro.
Oh, Clarice.
Clarice, this was gonna be our Clarice character for this film, which I wasn't expecting like to be a running thing for these movies, but when I first saw it, I know it's not, like, and obviously revealed it wasn't, but I was like, okay, sure, I guess we're doing this. I don't mind. We'll see who that is. And then it's like, oh, it's Fujiko. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, and then it takes a very long time to establish what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like, it wastes a lot of time on kind of very, I guess, heist of the week-esque.
Yeah, it's very heisty.
That's what that first part felt a lot like to me, and I think, and that's funnily enough the part that was the strongest part of the movie for me.
Yeah,
I get that. I think narratively it certainly is, because it feels more akin to like an extended episode of one of the TV series. I mean, it's got his classic car from the first from part 1, which is the Mercedes he's driving, and then they get in a Mini, which I'm kind of disappointed by wasn't the iconic yellow car he has. Which is a Fiat? Or
I don't know.
It's an Italian car, I know that much. It was odd because it just kind of felt really scattershot in the early part of the movie until they get to the safe house and it's like totally destroyed. Like I don't feel like the movie had much of a trajectory as to where it was going.
No, I just, whenever a movie is kind of weird in how it tells a story and you can't really tell this is the setup, we're now enter act 2, I find myself checking the time a lot to be like, this is about act 1, because it's usually about thirds.
Yeah.
And I just constantly was like, we still have this left?
Yeah, like
really?
I remember
What's gonna happen?
I remember getting to Mamo's first death. And there's still 40 minutes on the clock.
I remember checking at that point and being like, 40?
Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, how the hell do they continue this?
Yeah.
I was almost convinced there were going to be 40-minute credits.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that there are some movies that have long credits.
But this is too long.
This is too long. And I'm like, where can they go? As like, because the original title of the movie is Lupin versus the Clones. And then obviously we have the Mystery of Mamo, and I'm like, they can't continue the movie on without the titular antagonist. Because even without the Mamo name in the original Japanese, the clone very much refers to Mamo as you kind of find out. So I was like, where is this gonna go? And then it kind of just muddles its way through.
Yeah, you kind of feel like
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, like nothing's really happening. You kind of feel like where are we going?
Yeah, and then it's like, you know, you cut to the Japanese restaurant, as it's written, the Japanese restaurant where, you know, Zenigata's like told you can't go after Lupin, which is a recurring theme. He's told you're off the case, and then suddenly he's just fucking back
he's
again.
Still on the case.
He's off the case, but he's not taking that shit.
No.
This is his life's work right here.
Zenigata
He's
is a cop.
chasing that fucker, and I love him for it.
Yeah. Zenigata is the cop who plays by the rules, but not really.
He plays by the rules until Lupin shows up, and then he's
Yeah.
like, "You're not following the rules."
Yeah.
Lupin's his berserk button. You just throw him into a situation, and he'll just go right for him.
The thing is, it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter what the fuck's going on. He's like, "This is Lupin," and they're like, "No, it's not." And he's like, "But it is." Lupin.
Love Zenigata.
I love that there's just like tons of compilations on YouTube of like Zenigata screaming Lupin's name.
When you show me like a clip, like this is the only clip I've seen of like Lupin the Third,
the first.
Like, I don't know the context, but they seem like they're in a desert or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they seem lost, and he's like, "I'm gonna have to call in the only one that can find us now." And Lupin just like, he goes to like a police radio or whatever. Hello, and then suddenly there's a helicopter above him, and it's just Zenigata. Lupin.
I love their relationship so much.
Yeah, that's
I would-
like the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, honest to God, watch a full movie of just them chasing each other,
Yes.
and I would be satisfied.
Yeah, it's very fun. A lot of the time they end up teaming up, which I really enjoy. Because there's
Just to quickly cut, nothing like really spoiler related, like to the end of like the movie. When they're like on the island escaping, and they're like Lupin's in like a handcuff
they're
sort
like
of thing.
handcuffed together
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
ankles.
And like Fujiko's been like saved by Goemon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lupin's just missed it, and so Zenigata, and they're like, "Well, old buddy," and they just run. That was a heartwarming moment, and I was like, "This would be a beautiful ending to a better movie."
Yeah. So yeah, like it cuts to that, and you're in that restaurant, and he's told, you know, stop it, don't go after him, and then it's like they're just in a hotel room, and they're just talking, and you're like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Like you have no idea of what's, you know,
happening.
there's no villain anymore. There's no clear trajectory. There's no goal that they can have suddenly ripped away from them and be told, oh well, you know, Mamo's not dead. Suddenly,
From the abyss.
from the abyss,
He appears.
Mamo just appears, and
You good?
I thought I heard a car going past in the headphones. That was really weird.
Might be me sniffling, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear a car.
But yeah, so like, when that scene ends, I love kind of like Lupin, Zenigata's, you know, his explanations of shit and the shenanigans that goes on. But I hate the scene after Mamo's like, you know, standing in the abyss.
The dream sequence.
The dream sequence, because it's like he's like, oh, this furniture's recently been moved, and there's a hole in the wall. So he pumped sleeping gas in here, took us out, gave us the show, and put us back in. And I'm like, what?
It very immediately, like with no like build up, it's just suddenly a Sherlock Holmes-esque like
and like
deduction, and it's like, what? I mean, I know we mentioned
Lupin
before
does
that he's
do
like,
that occasionally.
but I mean, he's based off like
Yeah,
that French version of like Sherlock Holmes, which we discussed.
Well, the antithesis of Sherlock Holmes. So like
Yeah.
Arsène Lupin's Master Thief, and that's what
Okay.
Lupin the Third is. And so like that's where the deduction stuff comes from.
Yeah, but like it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
in this.
and it's a weird thing of like Mamo recurringly calls Lupin a savant, and I'm like, what is the point of this movie? Like,
Yeah.
what is the point of constantly bringing that up? Because it doesn't go anywhere.
No.
It doesn't serve any purpose. And I'm like, I mean, he's not a savant. He's a lovable fucking idiot
Yeah.
who's just good at thieving. It's like, he's not that smart. Don't give him too much
This
credit.
is the one thing he's good at.
Yeah. And then, you know, there's an earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything just kind of happens.
Yeah, and it's like, because it suddenly then just cuts to Mamo and Fujiko in the bunker
On their island.
on their
Yeah.
island with, you know, Mamo saying he's launched, you know, nukes or missiles at the US. Not he never presses the
No.
USSR button that's there.
No.
He just the
Just
US.
America.
Yeah.
You know his motivations.
Yeah.
No way I know.
And then, you know, Lupin just appears and saves Fujiko. There's then just this extended chase sequence.
That just went on for too long.
Yeah.
It really did.
And then you're still wondering what the hell's going on. He meets one of the other clones who claims he's 130th generation, which would mean Mamo has been doing this for like thousands of years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, categorically, that can't make sense.
I mean, they bring it up as well. I mean, I know it's in the dream sequence,
Mm-hmm.
and Mamo's very much like an egomaniac who could be not telling the truth, but he says he's like shaped human history.
yeah, I
and all
don't get that
I
whatsoever.
feel like they should have explained it like, oh, because at some point there's Hitler.
Yeah. Okay, I was wondering when Hitler was going to
I've been wondering how I could segue into Hitler. And there's just no good way to
No,
segue
there's
into
not.
You can segue into literally Hitler.
No, because
No.
like that whole sequence is so strange because he's running through like this weird kind of
Card paralysis.
yeah, where
Exhibit.
suddenly he's just runs through a Dali painting.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Napoleon, and then there's just fucking Hitler,
Wasn't
and
there
it's like
Stalin at some point as well?
I don't.
I didn't.
Oh no,
see
Stalin's in the montage
Oh,
of human
yeah,
history.
yeah.
Yeah, and along with Karl Marx.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah,
Karl
yeah.
Marx.
I know
Hitler
it's
shows up
Marx.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there were a few Chinese
Yeah, I noticed.
ones, and then I think Hirohito maybe
Yeah.
for Japan. It's so
It's even worse
strange.
because in that monologue where all these faces are happy, he says the greatest minds. In
yeah,
human
and it's
history.
mostly
And it's
showing
like-
dictators.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck is he on
Yeah.
about?
Mhm.
Like for a country that's tried very hard to distance itself from its, you know, pre-World War II self, which I absolutely get. It's not the same country anymore.
Good.
Yeah, this movie just doesn't
This
care.
movie is like,
No.
dictatorship and, millions of people die. Great people.
Yeah.
Greatest minds.
No.
Like, I get that we're not meant to be on Mamo's side, but that is the strangest way to go about
Yeah, I
putting
feel like
him in our bad books.
Yeah.
before that, we were all like, well, he's a clone. What has he done? He's
Yeah.
influenced history. And then Hitler picture. Huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm just glad they didn't give him any dialogue.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like,
Yeah,
I don't.
mean, we had a full Nazi salute.
that,
Which
yeah.
Lupin was
Yeah.
like, I suppose I do it too. I'm like,
He.
Lupin.
No. Hitler didn't salute him. He encountered Hitler, and that was just his reaction.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was his
yeah.
instinct.
He just he said "Hail mein Führer" and threw up the Nazi salute, and I'm like, what the fuck?
There's no natural reaction to encountering Hitler,
No,
because
no.
of course there's not. But that shouldn't be
That's
fucking
the
know.
last one that
Yeah.
you want to do.
It's so bizarre, yeah. And then, so back to the that whole chase sequence, then eventually leads to them in an underground missile silo.
I
Something like
don't
that.
know.
It suddenly
some
just
sort of
goes from
bunker.
rock to
metal,
yeah.
it suddenly becomes very sci-fi.
Yeah. And then, you know, there's a pretty brutal death scene for Mamo during that where he's like lit on fire.
Yeah, and he's like...
For a long
Yeah, I
like,
totally get
he should have
Fujiko's
been
reaction to that, yeah.
He should have been Ash, like, within, like, a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
No, he gets a full-on, he walks up.
Yeah.
He almost does the pointed finger to, like,
I was so
Fujiko.
uncomfortable during that scene.
I
And I was like, I get what Fujiko's going through right
Yeah.
now.
It was just too long, and I was just getting more uncomfortable as it went on. I'm like, first of all, how are you walking? Because he walked a bit too casually.
Yeah, like he goes
was
from
so
to kind of paint the picture. There's like this long, very kind of runway-esque type part where like Mamo fires like light beam lasers at Lupin.
Yeah.
And Lupin reflects them with a bit of Goemon's blade. You know, Goemon coming in clutch because he never fucking does anything else in these movies.
Yeah.
the blade, which just for some reason broke.
And made him severely depressed.
Yeah, which I mean, I do get that.
Zenigata, no, it's not Zenigata, sorry. I'm thinking because the sword's called Zentetsuken. Goemon's very attached to his sword.
Yeah.
He's the archetype samurai.
He's the love story this movie needed.
Yeah, him and the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than Lupin and Fujiko for the
Yeah,
entire
in this
movie.
movie, 100%. And so he reflects it back, and then, you know, that's when Mamo gets set on fire. And so he walks from this runway up a set of stairs,
Yes.
and then
While
like a
on fire.
long, like a catwalk type thing,
Yeah.
on fire towards Fujiko, and then falls over and kind of extends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He gets like a solid foot taller.
Oh,
when he
yeah.
falls
best way to
down.
describe it.
Yeah. And then you're again left wondering, where is this going? Because there's still, I want to say something like
20 minutes.
20
20
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
This is another point where I tried like, how are we filling?
Yeah.
He is gone.
Yeah, like,
and I'm
he's
sitting
dead.
there like, how has this only been 20 minutes since I last checked? And then the giant brain appears,
Dun 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 dun.
which suddenly feels like
It
a
answers
Sonic
the question.
boss.
How is there 20 more minutes?
Yeah.
Giant brain?
Giant brain?
Brain.
Brain.
It's Lupin and the brain. Doodle-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, and it's so strange because like it just appears. There's no setup, no build up. It just slowly rises
Yeah.
from the ground and starts talking to him.
And it claims that's the original, by the way.
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
Which means that thing has been there for thousands
Yes.
of
It
years.
kind of reminded me like the Starwood fish from the Suicide Squad movie.
A lot, yeah, I
Yeah,
get
right?
that. It suddenly feels
Starro?
like a.
Yes,
Starro,
Starro. That's
yeah.
the one.
I think I called it a Metroid boss.
Well, I did the Metroid music a couple of
Yeah, but
seconds
like
ago.
last
Yeah.
night, I think I
Yeah.
called it a Metroid boss when I seen it. It's something from a very different, you know, movie franchise series altogether, different genre, and like to I don't think we're doing this justice. Like, this isn't a normal human-sized brain.
No.
This is fucking massive.
Like, imagine an ancient ass tree that's huge.
And a brain.
yeah,
That's the size of a brain.
yes. So if you've ever seen a Minuteman missile, imagine one of them tipped with a brain that matches that thing's fucking circumference.
I want to talk about this. Why put precious cargo in the tip?
Yeah, good question.
What I don't get is that he talks and Lupin is like thrown back, which I think is meant to hint that he caused the earthquake like that. And I don't know if it's meant to be like he's on the tip so that he causes the destruction.
I don't. It just feels like seeing a rocket with a brain in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing that completely took over my mind, that I didn't
Yeah.
even clock anything else.
And so like
No.
it takes off and it heads up, and as it kind of gets to its is it the apogee
I don't.
where it there's a word for it where like something goes up and then kind of comes back down. It's part of a parabolic curve, which
I
is,
don't know the word, but I know exactly what you're describing.
yeah. So
The
it's
decline.
it's the way that missiles like this are kind of fired off as they head up sort of just into space and then come back down to their target. and apparently Lupin's just set a bomb
Yeah.
that we've never seen happen.
I mean, isn't there like a moment where like either not that he falls onto it, but like
he like clings to it a little bit.
yeah.
And then
he made a watch into it. Like,
yeah, he used his watch, I think.
which I feel like we should have had the watch mentioned like clearly, so we're like, oh my god, he's using the watch.
It
But
should
it was
have been
just
set up. Yeah.
is that a fucking watch?
Yeah, I think it's like a Lupin always wears a watch. So I think if you've maybe seen part 1 and part 2 of the TV series, you kind of just understand like things that he uses in his arsenal. So it's not something I kind of batted my eye at because I just watched part 4 before this, and he does that sort of thing quite a lot. Not quite a lot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it explodes. And rather than the brain doing what any normal human organ would do in space and shriveling up and drying out and turning to ice and just, you know, disintegrating into nothingness or exploding, it drifts off into the sun like something out of fucking 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
It just straight up like the movie just Supermans its filling it into the sun.
Like it just needed the fucking, is it Zarathustra, that piece that plays in 2001?
I don't know that.
You know the music that I'm
know
talking
that.
I'm
about?
not sure.
I couldn't even hum it. It's like the one with the drums and stuff like
Dun
that.
dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah.
That's it, yeah, that one. I could just hear that music as it slowly drifted over Earth, the moon, and then into the sun, and
This
I'm like,
is where I thought that it would end.
yes, that's what I thought, and I'm like, cool, this movie is
Good
over.
Yeah. I
And it
was
still
very
has
happy.
10 minutes.
Like the credits could have just went right there.
Yeah.
And I would have been completely
Yeah, I would have
fine.
been so satisfied with that ending.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
same.
Great.
But then Lupin gets arrested by Zenigata, who's just hiding under the rubble.
Yeah.
And they make us think that Fujiko's been like injured or whatever, but then it's like turned out that no, she was just tricking
Yeah.
because Zenigata told her to.
Because
Which
he
is
threatened
weird.
to arrest her.
Yeah, which is a weird beat to play right after the mindfuck that is the brain into
Yeah.
the sun.
Yeah, and like I kind of do get it. It's that them trying to play into their normal relationship, but this movie has established that nothing about this movie is their normal relationship.
So what's the point? Yeah.
Yeah, actually, no, we haven't even mentioned the fact that way before any of this, when Lupin went to rescue Fujiko from Mamo's island place, and he finds her again, there's an extended sequence where they're going up an elevator, and they're like seconds away from fucking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many instances where they are seconds away
Yeah.
from fucking. Even was it in the desert house? They were sleeping like separate
Oh, that
rooms.
was
boy.
really fucking rapey.
That was
I
yeah.
didn't
I
like
was also
that.
like, that's. I hear some rape whistles going
Yeah,
on, and
like-
that is not okay.
Like I said, like their relationship's normally really playful and and like sexually charged. That is
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
That's their
But it's-
dynamic.
It's like it's on both sides usually.
Yeah,
This
and
was
this one was
fully
not. Yeah,
one-sided, and one person being like, "No."
It always
Yeah.
feels like there's a layer of respect between them.
Yeah.
Or at least
Yeah.
what I got from Cagliostro,
Uh-huh.
which just was not there.
Yeah,
No.
and it's weird that just sort of the reason I brought this up is to tie it back to the end
Yeah.
where suddenly that respect comes back and he kisses her. I don't even know if I want to explain what happens after that because it's so weird.
It was so weird that I was like, "Why?" Again, this was the second point where I was like, "Oh, that's a good ending."
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it could have just done the whole circle down to nothing blackness
Easily.
and end and then credits.
Sure.
But no, the
So
camera
easy.
pans down from them kissing. Lupin pulls down her shirt and pokes her in the nipple.
I watched it. I was like, "Who in the studio
Yes.
wrote the screenplay
Yeah.
that said they kiss, then?"
Yeah,
And then nipple button press.
yeah, like
It may honestly make me think she was a robot. I'm sure she
Yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
like, this is no normal human interaction.
no, like it's not like he. My parents are probably listening to this. Oh, I'm sorry, mum and dad. It's not like he even pinches it or does anything a normal human being would do,
Yeah.
which would not be going for the nipple in this situation in the first
This
place.
is no
but-
nipple-worthy situation.
No, but if they did, they wouldn't just.
Poke.
Yeah.
Like, it would be more natural if they leaned back and booped someone's nose.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
But
weird,
then it
but
pans
funny.
back up, and she's fully into it.
Yeah, she's fine with
Yeah.
it for some reason. I was expecting a full-on punch.
Yeah, this is punch-worthy
Yeah.
events here.
Like, normally this is where she would, like, kick him or something like
Yeah.
that. But no.
No.
Or like, a groin knee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then
He gets handcuffed.
he's handcuffed at this point, because Zenigata is fully
Yeah.
handcuffed to
Oh
him,
yeah, I remember
telling
thinking
him to fucking stop.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, I don't want to
he's
see
the
this.
one sane person there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should
Like
have been
it-
about him.
Like,
Should
at
have been
first
about
I'm
him.
like, nah, Zenigata,
Yeah.
it's fine. You know, they're
Yeah.
reuniting, they're kissing,
Yeah.
stop being a prude, and then
And then
No.
that happened.
that happened, and I'm like, no, I'm fully with Zenigata here.
No.
But then, you know, the island starts getting pelted with all of these missiles.
Yeah, this is the
like
point
a fuck ton.
where I got extremely nauseous by the amount of flashing lights.
Now, I did not realize this until I put on the Blu-ray myself, because it's not at the beginning of the movie, like, file itself. It's at the beginning of the Blu-ray disc, where there's a flashing light warning. So really, that's on me.
I never really get bothered by flashing lights, but
Oh,
I've
this
been
was
looking
bad.
at
Like,
a screen for like, at this point, 1 hour 40, and I'm done.
Yeah.
done. I'm ready for it to end.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm kind of like out of it already.
But this is also like the third instance.
yeah,
of
it's
this sort of thing.
so much blowing up that's very flashy. It's
Yeah.
made well, but it's a lot on the eyes.
You can
It's a
tell this
lot.
is pre-Porygon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Electric Soldier Porygon,
Yeah.
the Pokemon episode where like
A lot of children, like
Yeah.
electric
yeah,
episodes,
which
right?
has
Yeah.
changed the course of like anime when it comes to flashing images for ever since, really, you know, like the entire industry.
even beyond that, like in like games as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is funny because it feels like in recent years there's been so many controversies over stuff like that, where, you know, Cyberpunk left in a sequence originally that could trigger photosensitive epilepsy, because it's all to do with like the certain color combinations, but
Yeah.
also it can be do with like the speed and frequency of flashing.
Yeah, yeah.
Cyberpunk did it. Evangelion, the final, the fourth movie, sorry, 3.0 plus 1.0, whatever the fuck it's called, Thrice Upon a Time, had a sequence that could have potentially triggered, and you know, that's an anime, like, people should have learned for that, but Anno is one of these people who pushed back against it and was like,
Oh, come on.
yeah, and I'm like, no, you can't
No,
do that.
no.
Come on, it's only a seizure.
Yeah, so it's like if you watch any broadcast anime, like if you watch stuff on Crunchyroll, if it has like scenes of like bright flashing lights, you'll notice that the screen dims quite
Yeah,
a bit,
yeah.
and it's commonly called ghosting, I think, where it like brings it down so you're not as susceptible to
Yeah.
it. Because if you're buying it on home video, you'll get what we got in Mamo.
It was just a lot, and I was so done already that I legit, once it was finally over after like its 7th perfect ending, that I just really had to take a minute and just kind of, you know, get some fresh air. It was just too much.
I
Yeah.
want to say it's even worse because when I was watching it, I was in like my room, and because the way I was watching it, it was like right next to like my window, which was very bright as well. So I had to like put my
Yeah.
blackout blinds
Yeah.
on, watch it in the dark and all that. And that was so bright, I legitimately had to like cover my eyes or like close them. just
Yeah,
because it was hurting.
I found that as well, especially like, I think there's one scene where Mamo, it's the scene where he gets hit by the light rays.
Yeah.
That end scene where everything's kind of blowing up. There's the one where Lupin gets electrocuted.
Yeah.
That was, I think, one of the big ones
Yeah, because that one's white on black,
Yeah.
like rapidly.
It's
for me. It's a lot.
Yeah, and like underneath it all is very well animated, but it is still really intense. And I was watching it at like, I think maybe 10:30, and I had my blackout curtains closed because, you know, that's how I watch movies, because my TV's directly in front of my window. And I was like, fucking hell, this is intense. And my head was starting to hurt from it. I just, it's such a weird... But then, you know, after all of that is when we get Zenigata and Lupin running away and the credits roll. And Lupin starts singing over the credits as Japanese VA, which I didn't expect. It's a very wild journey.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I would recommend this Lupin as much as the Castle of Cagliostro because it is just
wouldn't.
very
Yeah.
disturbing.
I know. I wouldn't.
I-
To watch this movie, I'd recommend this if you're a Lupin fan. And you're
Oh, yeah.
definitely. I think you would need to be very far into watching other Lupin stuff.
I would not prioritize this
Oh
one.
no, like I would never
Yeah,
recommend
yeah.
this as someone's first Lupin experience, which is why I'm glad we covered Cagliostro first.
Yeah, like I mentioned this when I was talking to
Mm.
you, but if we had watched this one first instead of Cagliostro, I can tell you right now, I would not be as enthusiastic
Yeah,
to watch
Yeah.
more Lupin
Definitely,
stuff.
because there's part of me that was thinking, when it comes to Lupin, maybe we should cover things chronologically, go through the movies, because I think there's only something like 6, and then go through the TV specials and then the TV series, obviously slowly over time.
Absolutely.
But now I'm thinking we just jump around and go with
I think that's
wherever,
best.
because I feel like we're going to encounter some really weird stuff
Yeah.
if we keep going with this, because Mamo really sideswiped all of us, I think. And maybe I should start watching them ahead of recommending stuff for the, because there are times I want to go into stuff blind for the podcast.
It's fun.
Yeah. I don't know if I regret it for this one though. I did rate this, I think, an 8 out of 10 on my anime list. Because despite all the weird, creepy shit, the animation, the music, overall, it is a fun movie at times.
Yeah, I will say, just to go off the animation thing, this animation wise, it's a beautiful movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like I remember like saying, I think I even like the look of this better than Cagliostro.
Yeah, I'd say I like this better than Cagliostro, I think, because Cagliostro maybe plays it a bit safer.
It feels a lot more like, I mean, I know it's made by Miyazaki, but it feels a lot more like his sort of.
Yeah.
I don't want to say generic because that makes it sound bad.
No, but he has a style,
Yeah.
he's an auteur, so he has a style that he brings to all of his movies, which
Yeah.
I think can be said for pretty much everyone that touches Lupin. They have their own style, which is fun because whenever we cover Dead or Alive, I think it's Dead or Alive anyway, one of the movies is actually directed by Monkey Punch, the manga author, which I'm really intrigued to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, stylistically, I think I prefer this to Cagliostro.
Yeah.
I think Cagliostro has maybe a little more polish in some places.
I mean, to me, I'd say it looks a bit too clean.
Yeah,
me.
that is definitely an issue I have with Cagliostro when I watch it. Because something I loved about Mamo in particular is just sort of getting to see, and I don't know if either of you really picked up on this, but like how they would compose stuff is sometimes really clear in the way it's been restored. Like when they first kill Mamo and he's been shot in the head, when you see that scene of him kind of lying down and he slowly kind of drops and the camera moves, you can see the cell that they had layered on top for him sliding down. You can still see the dirt marks and stuff.
Ah.
And then in the caves, when like everything's on fire, you can see them moving like 2 layers of cells together and waving them to give the flames motion.
Ah, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. But now
I think I
kinda
maybe
wanna go
only
back.
noticed it because I watched it on the big TV
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like multiple layers because the flames are definitely moving, but I can also see kind of like
patterns in it.
patterns
yeah.
of where like the cell itself is being kind of manipulated, and you don't see any of that sort of thing with Cagliostro. You don't see that with any Miyazaki movie because he is a perfectionist, a notorious perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I just love that about these kind of older movies, is seeing the way they would kind of structure stuff just to give stuff its effect and all that sort of thing. Because anime is inherently a medium that has to cut every corner possible to fit within a budget. But yeah, so Mamo is a journey. I really hope that people have watched this before listening to this episode, because I don't feel like we've painted the best picture of it.
Nah.
And like, I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'd recommend this to anyone who hasn't seen a substantial amount of Lupin before. I don't really know what else to say, to be honest about it.
It's just very much. I don't know if it's a product of its time, but it just exists in its own space.
Yeah, I do feel that, and I was kind of wondering, maybe just earlier Lupin, Fujiko was like that, and it's maybe because I've only seen more recent stuff, because I've seen Woman Called Fujiko Mine, which is 2013, Part 4, which is 2015, and the first, which is 2019. So like I'm seeing modern Fujiko for the most part, and I don't know if it's just been time that's kind of molded the character that she is.
Sort of shaped her into what the character is now,
Yeah.
which I would say unequivocally is better.
Yeah, 100%. But like I also feel like that's maybe just not the case because Cagliostro did her so much more justice.
Yeah, and it seemed to fit right in, and that was only like a year after.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Because I think at this point, Lupin was on a kind of yearly schedule for movies and TV specials, or maybe the TV specials went on a yearly schedule after Part 3 finished airing. Because Part 2 was coming out at the time that this was in theaters. Because you can kind of judge when things are set based on the jacket Lupin's wearing. Because he's wearing the red jacket in this one, which is Part 2. Whereas Cagliostro is the green jacket, which is Part 1. I think it's the green jacket.
It's green.
Yeah. Then Part 3 is the pink jacket.
I want to see the pink jacket.
Part 4 and 5, have the blue jacket, which is
sweet,
set in Italy, and then you're gonna hate Part 5 because it's set in France.
Oh, fuck me.
We'll get there when we get there.
When we get there. Yeah, but no, this is. We're gonna take a break from Lupin after this. I think.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to course correct and watch the first next because that was gonna be like after we had seen quite a lot of Lupin. But no, I think that's gonna be our next.
Yeah, I think that's the one from just that clip you showed me. That's the one I kind of want to see.
It's a very fun one, and it's like it's rather than 2D animation, it's 3D CG, and very very nice at that.
I didn't expect to like just looking at stills and stuff. I wasn't expecting to jive with, but when that clip, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty well done.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about how it would work out when they kind of first announced it and showed stills and clips and everything like that. Because I like 3D CG when it comes to anime. I like seeing its development pretty much because back in 2014 they released a series called Knights of Sidonia, which was Polygon Pictures, and ever since then, that was their first TV series, I've followed everything they've made, and seeing them develop's been amazing. That obviously not who animated the first. I don't know who animated the first. I don't know if it was TMS or if they optioned it out to a different studio.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
We'll find out when we talk about that in its own dedicated episode.
So that's Mystery of Mamo.
It's a good time to just move on.
Yeah, I think we've said all we can.
Yeah.
I do want to bring it back just quickly because the first thing when this movie started, before it got fucking weird, I was so happy that it had the Lupin theme for the opening because I'm like, oh, you guys get to finally see it in context. And I don't think this movie utilizes it properly whatsoever.
It was nice to hear.
It's a good theme. I like the theme.
It's a very good theme, but I like this rendition, but it's maybe a bit too chill because it normally gets used in chase sequences or when Lupin's doing something kind of badass.
Yeah. And
it doesn't work. Like we get one in the chase early on with the truck and the police. I don't think it fits very well.
Nah.
In my opinion. So from space Nazis to normal Nazis.
Beautiful segue.
How to segue into Lupin the Third.
Yeah.
Lupin.
Yeah, so some context for the first. I think I mentioned it when I was introducing it, but it's obviously, CG.
Yeah.
Which is not common for anime. So yeah, it was a big thing for the series. I think it was celebrating an anniversary. It was like part of that.
I feel like I saw something about that in like the credits or something.
Yeah, well, what you seen in the credits was a quote from
Monkey
Punch because he passed away just a couple of months before this movie came out, and it was one of his biggest hopes for Lupin to see him make the transition into 3D CG. So luckily he did get to see some of the movie. I don't know if he ever got to see the fully finished one, but he did say this here. I got a quote. I've been looking forward to a 3D CG Lupin the Third for a long time. I've taken a look at the characters and story. It looks like this Lupin will come packed with new sensations, and I'm getting excited just thinking about how the film will turn out.
That's nice.
So a bit of a depressing note to open on for the film, but yeah, just wanted to bring it up.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't. I feel like it'd be, if we didn't mention it, it'd be like a big mistake.
Yeah.
Because it's like the first thing that like comes up after when the credits start.
Yeah,
to roll, so.
you get like a note from Monkey Punch saying, you know, that he hopes to keep sending Lupin
all
over the world.
Which was just beautiful to see, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, yeah. I loved this movie.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I loved this movie, even with its stupid moments.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want from Lupin, though, isn't
Yeah,
it? Is you
like,
want
I'm
it to be
here
a
for the
bit stupid.
stupidity.
Yeah. I just want to say, I love the choice they made, and like, you know, Lupin, he has these colors clothes, and they're like full leather. Full leather.
Full
Yeah,
leather.
watching the anime, I never look at his jacket
I
and
was
think,
never like, that's leather.
yeah,
No, I always figured it was like a suit jacket.
that's what I thought as
Same.
well.
And then he just showed up. I'm like, that's a choice. It's a perfect choice. Like, love it.
There is an odd amount of characters wearing leather
Yeah.
in this movie,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It's just, I love the idea because leather clothes are the fucking worst.
Yeah.
Because you know you struggle to get it.
Yeah.
They stretch for shit. But
And
just
this
You're
is
gonna
also-
rip it at any moment.
yeah.
And this is also the 50s.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask because it's like, I'm unsure when it takes place. My mind was like 70s.
I mean,
fashion-wise,
it
it was
opens.
70s.
It opens in World War II, but
Yeah.
then
And then says like a decade.
it says over a decade.
Over a
later, but
decade.
which
Yeah.
I did know. That's surprisingly vague.
It's extremely
Yes.
vague.
Like that could be any time.
But the thing is, it opens this like during World War II, and it's like,
What?
when?
It was a while, okay? There's
Yeah.
quite a few years this could have fucking
That's
happened.
like 6 years we got to take into account here.
It's like there's very different parts of the war, so
Yeah.
depending on when this is taking place.
From the way I like looked at it, I assumed it was like the beginnings of the occupation of like France,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which would be like 1940, 41.
Early,
If I know my
yeah.
history,
Yeah.
which I'm not a historian or an expert.
Yeah.
but
We don't know jack shit in here.
And then it's suddenly just like over a decade later. So I am assuming like late 50s.
yeah,
Yeah.
late 50s.
Because Hitler was old. Like, they made him look old.
Yeah, he's like-
Yeah.
I
So I
mean-
was like, that's why I was like, 70?
But then there's also like a Chinook, and I'm like, I don't think they had him in the 50s.
I feel like the implication is probably like it's just a mishmash of
Yeah.
like post World War II,
Yeah.
which makes sense for Lupin
Yeah.
because fuck the laws of physics.
Yeah. He's you know, like he's lived for a long fucking time if you're going by the anime timeline.
Oh, yeah.
Because like each like part seems to just continue on from the other one, and it's like
He very much has like an Ash Ketchum sort of syndrome.
Yeah.
I was
like
about to
he's
mention,
just
it's kind of like that.
eternally like in his 20s.
yeah, because like part 1 I think takes place in the 50s maybe, but then like by the time of part 6 they're in the modern day, and you have Jigen like properly questioning, am I too old? And I'm like, huh.
I feel like you probably are, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that like it could have gone horrifically wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And moving into 3D, but I think they pulled it off really well.
I remember when like it started, like the first couple like moments of the film, I was like, oh, am I gonna have to get used to this?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
got used to it surprisingly fast.
I
It
think-
works very well.
Yeah. I think the only thing I had trouble getting used to was the dubbing,
Mm.
just because obviously
It
you know,
was slightly...
yeah, the lips
Oh,
are obviously
yeah.
more, the mouth movement is more expressive because it's, you know, 3D rather than just opening and closing all the
Yeah.
time.
But they're also very much matched to Japanese voices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they, you know, you can't reanimate something like
Yeah,
that.
which I understood completely, but it's
getting...
you still have it's still a bit
It
distracting.
still takes
Yeah.
a while to get used to, yeah. But everyone's on their A game in
Yeah.
this one, I think,
Oh, yeah.
voice wise.
This has like nothing to do with like Lupin, but like for like the dubbing thing, it helps that not too long ago I watched like the Man with No Name trilogy, which was all recorded originally in Italian.
Yeah.
So I've watched movies before where like there's obvious dubbing, so I can get used to it.
Well, I think Man with No Name has Clint Eastwood, Fistful of Dollars.
Yeah.
For a few dollars more,
More.
and The Good, Mad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
I think all the actors just spoke their native language in that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks like Clint Eastwood is like dubbed, but like
I mean, he's dubbed by himself.
I know, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels weird still.
Yeah, it does still feel a bit odd. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
I
there.
don't want to go into that because that's
Yeah.
a whole like other.
That's a whole
episode
other
of-
thing. Maybe we'll watch the Man with No Name trilogy at some point. I
If we
don't know.
do, can we skip like a few dollars more because that one's just a slog.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Anyway,
Anyway,
Lupin.
um,
Fujiko.
Fujiko.
Fuck
She's
yeah,
useful
she's-
again.
Oh,
I was so happy.
redemption.
it was so nice to see her again.
I also
it took
love
me a
that-
while to be like, Fujiko? Because it takes
Her
a while
design,
to mention
very
the
different.
name.
Yeah.
And I always wait to see, like, could someone just say, like, hey, Fujiko, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know for sure. Because we talked about it. Her hair color has changed.
I was gonna say
Her hair
I-
color changes a lot, but for me,
Yeah.
it's the hairstyle that threw me off in this one.
Yeah, because she's usually got like big, long sort of like hair, whereas this
Yeah.
one it's shorter.
Yeah,
It's
and she's
cut.
also got a bit of like a. It's not up at the front; it's like down, and then there's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
an up part, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
It's just the way she was dressed where it was like, that's her.
Yeah.
A hairstyle.
As soon as you
called
see
Fujiko.
legs and dress, and you're like, Fujiko.
Yeah, that's it.
Because it makes sure that that's
Yeah.
how she's introduced.
Yeah, but they make sure no one else looks like that, and
Yeah.
that's something I love about her because they don't make her sexualized in a way, which is
Not in this one, no.
no. I thought they handled it really well because women can be dressed with less clothing and not be sexualized, and she's just fucking badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
And-
cool.
Yeah.
Because in this one, it feels like there's like a distinct intention of like when they're in the plane and like she's escaping, she's in a dress and she like takes her dress off. We don't see anything in this one, and I'm like,
No.
oh, thank
Thank
God.
you.
Like it's very much like a sudden cut.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's good. They've put taste.
Yeah.
I think that's a tasteful way to do
Yeah.
it. Like we all know,
Yeah.
we all know.
But we
But
don't
it's-
need to see it.
no.
Yeah.
It's not important.
We see
No.
Lupin's reaction, and that's enough.
That's
It's
what we
more-
want to see because that's
honestly,
funny.
More interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, in this animation, I feel like it would feel wrong.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe also another reason
Yeah.
why they've done it. I was like,
They're
I
like-
don't want to see that.
We're hitting like something else that I don't want to like
Yeah.
be reminded of.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
But she was great.
Yeah.
I think my second favorite character in this, because the detective. Fuck.
Oh,
yeah,
nailed it.
Zenigata.
Zenigata was
Oh.
like the best character in this
Every
movie.
time he shows up, it is gold.
I just
Lupin!
love for this like style that we're like, we're gonna make sure he fully stands still for a second,
Yeah.
takes a breath, and screams his fucking lungs out before he does anything.
Inhale.
And I just love how he always has like an army
Yeah.
of just faceless guys with him.
He has his own like mooks and
Yeah.
like, just follow him around, and I love it.
Because
Just
this.
thinking of having their jobs. Oh, I work for like police force. I was like, oh, is it busy? It's like, well, I just kind of have to follow this crazy fucking guy around who is like this arch nemesis.
Yeah.
No, I always love the fact that they are very much loyal to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're
No
just so
questions.
ready to
Yeah.
like be in with them on this journey because it's so fun.
Because I love it in the opening where like, Lupin's about to steal the book.
Yeah.
And he gets handcuffed and someone just shouts in Zenigata and there's just this pause and silence and then the door just busts open.
I loved that we talked about the scene because it was like the only clip I'd seen before we watched this movie, but like I end up rewatching it like 5 times after it happened because I love it. But like when they're in the desert and he says, "Well, we're gonna have to call him." Gets
Yeah.
the radio, hello, and then just it smash cuts.
It's
to the
what I love
helicopter.
watching it is you see the door kind of
I was-
about to open
This is
and
what I
then
was
he
about to
just
mention.
kicks it.
Yeah, it's opening and he's like, this isn't fast enough. Lupin!
And I love the full context of that scene though when you see that he gets out and is like approaching and it's just like a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
And they
But
all
he's-
just stop and then it's like dun 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 as the other police officers kind of like
Like-
bump into him.
The first thing I thought was like, everyone exits this helicopter thing. Even the pilots are like, I gotta fucking see this shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, it takes a while. I know your headphones off, you're fucking everything.
They're
like,
loyal to Zenigata.
They
So
know
loyal.
the routine at this point, and
They
they
have-
are fully
they
dedicated
have
to
to
it.
be in like a 5-meter perimeter. I
I want to be part of that team.
Because they know if they're not with him, he'll end up helping Lupin.
Exactly what happens.
Exactly what happens.
Yeah, and to be fair, they went along with it.
Yeah, they does. I love that they just end up getting help from Interpol at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and I love like the little ending, like right at the credits, just to like jump to this when like he's chasing like Lupin again, like in the boat, and then he just suddenly turns around and like they all
They also let them.
Yeah, for a second I was like,
Letitia.
does she have military status?
No, I think he's just like,
It's respect.
being
Yeah.
respectful. Because
Everyone's really into her for some
she's
reason.
the reason that he helps them because
Yeah.
she asks him and he's like, oh fuck, yes.
She doesn't even like try and do that in like a Fujiko style. She just says please.
Yeah.
And then like just sort of angel rays come down. And she's completely unaware of it, and everyone's just like, I will help you.
It's the reaction
Die for
of
you.
I have pledged myself.
it's the reaction of like Lupin and not Zenigata, Goemon and Jigen.
Jigen, yeah. I loved that right after that, Lupin just goes, really?
Really? Yeah.
Like, even he didn't expect that.
One of my favorite little kind of bits of animation though is like at the end where, you know, Lupin's kind of coming down with the gravity thing, and it's like they're all watching from the window, and he's like, Lupin, he does it again, and they're just kind of slinking away, and he'll just turn around, and you just see Goemon throw a little thumbs up before they run away.
Now we have to capture you. See ya.
Because they just stand there and look at him, and Goemon's just like, and just runs.
I love the little moments of comedy in this movie.
Yeah. It's great because like I said, this could have gone horrifically wrong moving him into
100%,
CG,
yeah.
but they made them so expressive and like
Yeah.
so within their character.
Because I
like-
think sometimes people just would go to like this style just because they feel like they should. And
Yeah.
I feel like they use the style to work to their advantage. Like throwing in little things that would be more difficult to animate.
Yeah.
Like a little thumbs up goes a long way. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. And it's just so clear.
One moment that stood out to me as well was like when it's like I think the first scene with Fujiko when she's giving the book to them, and like she's about to sneak out, she winks to the camera.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I had to like rewind that for a second because I was like, did she just wink at the camera?
Yeah.
Because that's hilarious.
She also subtly sticks her tongue out when she's like leaving the room.
Yeah.
Because they're like, was it your intention to get to the treasure first? She just kind of sticks her tongue out, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh fuck. It's all these little things.
Yeah.
It's the small things that really you notice them and you're like, this just works. It works well.
It adds so much character.
Yeah.
And it's not because it goes to show that like they didn't just do this for the sake of doing it. Like they wanted to bring this to that realm and kind of use everything it had to offer. Like the car chase at the beginning of the movie looks fucking fantastic.
Oh, I loved that.
And like I love the car chase at the beginning of Castle of Cagliostro, but like that's how you want to see a car chase like that, you know?
It's fast paced. The camera's rotating
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing, the movie knows how to use the camera because like there's a lot of anime use CG. They'll move into CG, you know, like with Ghost in the Shell did, and they'll just start moving the camera, and you're like, oh god, please slow down, I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah.
But this, it's like it knew how to work a camera as if it was just a cinematic camera.
Yeah.
Like there's
Very dynamic.
tons of little zooms out or zoom in, or you know, it doesn't. It's dynamic, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, not too much.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to bring up and I totally forgot what it was. Have we mentioned Hitler yet?
No.
We've gone this far without mentioning Hitler. So Hitler.
So Hitler.
Let's talk Hitler.
Actually, before we talk about Hitler, there was one other scene. And it's when they're doing the trials to get to the...
Love a movie that ends like that.
Yeah.
Like their final thing is like a trial based on
It
that.
felt
it works.
Very, along with the Nazis as well, felt very Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And I love when they get to the tunnel. And that is how you use Lupin's theme.
Yes.
Because this is also, I think, the best rendition of this theme. Because it is just so over the top.
Yeah.
And you got all the little, like, chimes and stuff going on.
They went all out.
They went
on
all
the
out,
flair,
yeah.
and I loved it.
I just love that moment because you get to see...
The tunnel thing is amazingly done. I think, legit, I just sat there, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Like, they could just had a really cool montage of him dodging everything and running through it, but no, they're like, fuck it, why would he?
Yeah. He also kind of turns into Spider-Man for a second.
Yeah, like he's going all around. He's like almost flying.
Yeah.
And then he grabs like the cane and puts the hat on, and I legitimately went, "Fuck you."
Yeah. So Hitler.
Hitler.
Huh.
Can we gotta stop bringing him up like this.
We gotta stop bringing him up.
It's not really Hitler.
It's not really Hitler.
Yeah.
Hitler has come up in 2 Lupin movies now. It's not many.
If I had a
But it's
nickel
weird
for
that it's
every time Hitler was mentioned in a Lupin movie, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's fucking weird that it happened twice.
At least no one threw out a Nazi salute.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Like, that's improvement.
Yeah.
It wasn't like strangely pro Hitler, which it wasn't really in Mamo, but like.
They were just kind of like, he's there. We're not saying it's bad that it's here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can we?
History's
I think the
greatest
whole kind of like
geniuses.
Nazi thing is very subtle. But then that also comes to my issue with one casting issue, and it's Letitia's granddad.
Not granddad.
Air
Fake.
quotes. Fake
Yeah.
granddad.
Yeah. Adopted granddad.
He's meant to be German.
He's not.
He's
though.
very American.
Yes.
Which is, it becomes even more apparent when you've got the very German
Very-
Nazi
Yeah, 'cause-
that he's working with.
It took me a while to figure out German, because I think it was the first 2 lines the guy had. What's his name again? Gerald?
Gerard. It says
Gerard?
Gerard in the credits,
I
but
kept
he's
wanting to
very
say
much saying Geralt.
Yeah,
to
I
me.
kept wanting to say Geralt, but I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound right.
Like, I think his first 2 lines were just pronounced in a bit of a French, and it was like,
Yeah.
how dare you!
It took me a while to kind of figure out
yeah.
a couple of the characters' accents, like Gerard, and then the kind of tall, buff,
Yeah.
blonde beard dude. His accent changed like every time he
Hans.
spoke.
Yeah.
Hans, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of course he's Hans.
Is this the second Hans that's turned up in a Lupin movie?
Probably.
Yeah.
If I had a nickel.
Because wasn't the guy in Cagliostro called Hans?
I want.
Oh.
It's something similar at the very least.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the one that had the Schwarzenegger
No,
voice.
it was Gustav.
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 Not similar to Hans whatsoever.
No, but I get
The
what you
vibe is
mean.
there.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, some accents were weird to point out, but as soon as I hear German and it's like 56s, I'm like, I know exactly where this is fucking going.
I know what you are, you fuck.
the Führer.
Which they say that exactly like that, like
Yeah.
5 times in this movie.
It's the only time that Letitia's not granddad becomes German is when he's like, the Führer? And it's like,
Führer.
huh? Why are you talking like that?
Every time that happened, I kept thinking of that. It's like the Hellsinger Bridge clip that like
Oh,
said
yeah.
at one point where it's like, V?
Wie? Ah, Nazis?
The way he says that, like he's shocked to find out too.
Und wie?
Achoo!
Gesundheit. Gesundheit.
We gotta show you that clip.
Ah, we
Yes.
got.
'Cause I don't think we have. So that's come out completely out of context for you. Sorry, Melina.
If anyone is
German.
listening to this and has no idea what we're talking about, go watch Hellsinger Bridge. It's funny.
I haven't seen the full thing, but like, just try and find that clip. It's funny.
How could this get any worse? Nazis.
What if they were Nazis? That would be word I don't want to say. Cut to like base. V?
Nazis? I feel like we might get in trouble for this episode.
God.
We need to put like a very like content warning at the beginning of this
Yeah.
one.
We say we are Nazis. We are not.
We're not.
We're
No.
joking.
Very not.
It's,
We're
it's a funny
imitating.
joke, please. But so yeah, Hitler technically doesn't make an appearance.
No,
like,
'cause
I
it's
feel like
It's a
Lupin.
disguise,
It needs
yeah.
to be explained. Like there was a faked picture of
Yes,
Hitler
yeah.
to make Nazis believe he was alive. It was a faked picture.
Yeah.
That sort of does come out of nowhere, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I feel like the reasoning behind that is so dumb. They're like, oh, they
Yeah.
put this picture out to see if they got any response from anywhere in the world, and I'm like, okay.
Everyone's gonna respond. Like
Yeah.
everyone.
That's
If-
not gonna narrow it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if anywhere, like even now or before any year, there was a picture of Hitler coming, everyone would know. Everyone
Yeah.
would know.
And it's not like, a research group, which Anna Nerba is, would suddenly just be like, world domination, back at it
Yes,
again.
I have seen a picture. we talked about it today, and we were like, a picture can be very
Yeah.
easily fabricated.
Looks like genocide's
But I
back on
suppose
the
this
menu,
was
boys.
the late 50s, 60s, so
Yeah.
slightly
I love it.
less chance of it being faked, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I just love that. How would he get the picture? Was it mailed to him?
Yeah, that's what I
By
was
post?
wondering as well.
And he just opened the mail. Oh, my God.
He was very attached to it as well.
I
Yeah.
love like the fake picture as well because Hitler looks like he's like "Arr," to the
He
camera.
looks
He's
so
extremely
angry.
pissed off, yeah.
Which, to be fair, it's Hitler.
Yeah.
But
I think the reveal worked well. Having Lupin just take
Yeah.
the mask off. I was Hitler.
Yeah.
yeah, because like they set up at the beginning of the movie, because
Yeah.
that's how we first meet Lupin in this
Yeah.
movie. He's disguised as the police officer, which
And that's how you do a callback.
yeah,
Yep.
I loved that whole sequence because like I didn't think of it at first, but then when it's like, I'll take the thing, I was like, oh my god, it's him.
Yeah.
It's my boy.
I was like, Hitler's looking particularly animated today, like physically. You know,
It was
moving
when,
very
yeah.
weirdly. And
It was when he
fluffy.
smiled at Letitia. I was like, oh yeah, this is Lupin.
I'll be honest, the thought of him being in disguise sort of came up to me the moment like the radio came in, like, oh, this has to be like a trap or something for him. And then when we got to him, I was like, oh shit, that's actually him. And then I remembered, oh wait, there's a disguise that went on earlier in the film. They could call back to that.
The whole eclipse thing.
Yeah.
It's like something straight out of Final Fantasy.
I love that they threw all like reality out the window. They're like, secret power, alien technology. I'm like, oh, okay, we're just accepting aliens for one.
Yeah.
When I said earlier that this movie felt very Indiana Jones, I mean that in multiple ways.
Yeah.
It's like
Suddenly we're watching
it went from
is it Crystal Skull?
Yeah, it went from Last Crusade, which is when like the Nazis forced them to like grab like an ancient artifact, but then it suddenly went right into Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Which is where the aliens show up.
Which is also where Shia LaBeouf was in it.
We don't talk about
We don't talk about that.
Talk about it for another episode, obviously, but I kind of liked Crystal Skull, I'll be honest.
I don't mind Crystal Skull either, to be honest.
Temple of Doom is the bad movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time,
It's
so I can't really
painful.
comment.
We're not talking about this now.
Yeah,
but
no.
I had to get that out there.
Very fun, yeah.
Yeah. The whole creating black holes. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know how this works. Maybe this could work like this, but I don't know.
I
I'll
love how
accept
like
it.
one thing happened and Gerard is just like, it creates miniature black holes, and it's like,
yeah.
How the fuck do you know?
what?
Yeah, my first question was, do you know what a black hole is at this point in time?
Yeah, he just looks like at the chaos that's created. I'm like, no, that could be a bomb. Like,
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
look the same.
Yeah.
The end result would look the same.
They do
Yeah.
bring up that it's like, oh, could be more powerful than the bombs on Hiroshima and stuff, which makes sense because World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they say black hole generator. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this is you're suddenly like a couple decades ahead
Yeah.
in terms of knowledge now.
Like, I know it's meant to be alien technology, but do you know what a black hole is at this point?
Yeah.
Because they started
Hawking.
They started by kind of talking about it. It's like an infinite energy source.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, some nuclear whatever. That's cool. And I was
'Cause-
like, it creates black holes. I'm like, I don't know if you have the technology to turn that into energy.
It
I don't
goes
think
through a
know.
weird, like, Letitia describes it as a source of infinite energy, and then when the non-granddad, what was his name?
I don't
Grandfather.
Grandpapa.
When he gets his hands on it, he's like, it's a weapon. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
I mean, I guess infinite energy weapon.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then suddenly, miniature black holes, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I thought back to him like black holes. I mean, energy. Yeah, but how would you harness a black
Yeah.
hole creator to create
We're no-
energy?
I also don't think they just disappear like a
No.
bomb when you detonate it. It would stick around.
It's more
Yeah.
like just sort of an implosion gun.
Yeah.
Than like a black hole generator.
Wormhole generator that then closes it up.
They
yeah, I
call it a
guess.
black hole.
Yeah.
Maybe they just use black hole to simplify everything.
Yeah. A lot of similar vibes to Cagliostro in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I'd say
even
so.
in terms of like Lupin's character, because I know he's in the like usually more. I don't want to say similar to his Mystery of Mamo self, but
Yeah.
there's a touch more than like the heroic thief that he was in Cagliostro.
Yeah.
kind of was in this one.
I'd say his Mystery of Mamo like character maybe dialed down a touch for how he normally is. Because Mystery of Mamo tried to be very similar to the manga, which is, dialed up compared to the anime. Hopefully not as much sexual harassment.
Yeah, this one was better because I was kind of scared seeing Letitia. I was like, she looks very young. Please, for the love of God, can we treat her like maybe a normal human fucking being? And he was actually nice,
Yeah.
There's like only
Emailed her thesis.
He doesn't
to
treat
the
her like
university.
Clarice, which is nice.
there's
Yes.
only like one scene when like he's in her like apartment that like he sort of goes into that, but they play it. He very much plays it like as a non-serious sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So there's no actual harassment or
Yeah.
maliciousness there.
Because when she's like, I'm going to go get changed, she's like, no looking. He just kind of laughs, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
thank God it's not this one.
Like
Yeah.
the Mystery of Mamo Lupin would have just like immediately tried to, whereas he was just
he
like,
would
"What
have
do you
followed
take me
her
for?"
and stalked
Yeah.
her to wherever she was going.
But this
He'd
one
have
was
crawled
like,
out of the shower.
yeah.
but this guy, this like Lupin was like, "What kind of thief do you take me for? I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do
Yeah.
that. I'm better than that."
He's a thief with standards.
Yeah.
It's just not, cause like he did so many nice things for Letitia. Like he legit wanted to help her.
Yeah.
Kind of at some point. And again, like her big thing was she wanted to go to Boston University, and her grandpa was gonna pay for it. But psych, bitch.
You ain't getting shit.
Yeah, and then for Lupin to help her out. Like, Aww.
Yeah.
Aww.
I got all
It's
the
so
warm
sweet.
fuzzies.
Is
Yeah.
Boston University that great a uni?
I mean, they have Harvard.
Is
I
that
don't
where
know.
I mean, there's
Harvard
is.
MIT, isn't
Is
there?
that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
both, but they
I-
don't.
I-
Harvard would have existed at this time.
Ah.
I was like, it's weird to me they're not saying.
That's what confused
Harvard.
me. Yeah, you either say MIT or Harvard. That's
Yeah.
usually what I think of.
Then
Not
again, I don't think MIT is
Boston.
like archaeology anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
It could be that technically Boston University, like that's the name of a university that
Mm-hmm.
specializes in
Archaeology.
For all
I
yeah,
fucking
so it
know
could be
how.
that.
Maybe. I keep forgetting Harvard is in Boston, to be honest.
I keep thinking Harvard is just in like this roundabout area on the East Coast. I never give it like a specific location.
The
in
weird
my
thing is,
head.
like, Harvard is such a English-sounding university
it
It
encompasses all.
that that I just always like. There's part of my brain, that, or an irrational corner that's like, it's in England. What the fuck are you on about? And I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
The only reason I know it's American is because for some reason like we were taught about like Harvard in like a history class once.
Oh,
And I
okay.
just know that like, oh, a bunch of these presidents went to Harvard, and I was like, that's the only thing that makes me remember that it's American.
You know, I was watching a YouTube video. Sorry, this is a tangent. I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and it was talking about like headlines that turned out to be true, or weird headlines, dumb headlines. I can't remember what it was.
This is the. Did you send?
I
this
think I
video?
sent it to
Okay.
you. Yeah, it was like World Bank says poor need money. It's like,
Yeah.
but one of them was something about like a school in the UK that it was like Eton but for girls, and I was like, oh yeah, Eton's still like a full
Yeah,
boys
it's
school,
It's a boys' club, isn't it?
and I'm like,
yeah.
single gender schools are like such an
Yeah.
odd thing in the modern day.
It is. We don't.
I don't think we do it very
No,
often.
it's definitely
It's a rich people thing.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
rich
Yeah.
people thing here.
definitely gone down in recent years.
Yeah.
But
I just find it an odd thing because then like you go through like however many years of schooling, and you leave school at 18 and down in
You've
England,
never talked to
and
a
you've
girl.
never spoken to someone of the other. You don't know how to interact
Like-
with anyone
like,
from the
I
other
think
gender.
That's the problem, that you don't know how to interact with them.
Mhm.
yeah.
Like if I went to an all-girls school, I'd feel weird interacting with them
Yeah.
because you're like, I didn't grow up around boys,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't know how to act, what the dynamics are. Like
I think that's why politics is so fucked here, because most of them go to like those
Yeah.
schools. Not to sorry,
Oh,
I don't want to go
God,
into this
yeah.
tangent right now.
Like, yeah, we should probably stop there. for
Getting
now.
back to Lupin, do we have anything else to say?
overall good. I like the book thing. It was very
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
One thing I wanted to bring up, they make a point that like when they're unlocking the book and stuff, which is a great sequence
Yeah.
by the way,
Oh,
with like the
amazing,
bombs
yeah.
and stuff. He says like, oh, 8-letter word from 5 letters.
Mm-hmm.
And like he said, the moment he said all the letters, I was like, oh, it's Letitia.
Yeah.
Like it's clearly Letitia, but they
My
make a
f-
point
yeah.
to keep that a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll tell you later. And I'm like,
I would be so nosy. I'm like, no, the fuck you're not.
yeah, I
What
was
the
like,
fuck is it?
no, I was just screaming, why are you keeping this a secret? It's
Yeah.
fucking Letitia. We
Yeah.
know. The previous scene was you telling us about how all that like
All the
girls-
women in the family call it Jesus.
Yeah,
it
there's
is
the
so
fucking-
confusing.
fucking Princess Zelda syndrome.
Yeah.
But then she also doesn't know she's Bresson's granddaughter at that
Yeah,
point.
I
which
know,
is-
but still.
So he's waiting for like the right moment, I think,
Yeah.
because you don't want to just drop this like totally life-changing bit of
Mm-hmm.
information.
I guess in universe it does make sense, but
Yeah.
just from like a viewer's perspective,
Yeah.
like thematically, it's just weird to keep it a secret when
Yeah.
it's very clearly
Mm-hmm.
an obvious answer.
Also, I love how during that conversation, it just like there's one quick pan away, and you see that everyone's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zenigata's just kind of staring at a pillar as well.
Like in the base they have, the doors are so thin. It happens twice, doesn't it? That people are like, okay, come out from behind the door.
Yeah.
I can hear everything. I'm like,
but they're like
surely
steel
you have-
bulkheads.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you hearing through that?
I was expecting like when it was like all of them outside like that room and that scene, like the Grand Eye's just got like the cup to the door.
Classic. I don't know. I feel like I was slightly disappointed by Letitia being the answer. I don't know. Like it kind of was too easy to me.
Yeah, but then like they didn't have very long.
No.
Yeah.
There was like a minute on the clock.
Yeah. Which I love that she, first of all, turned the key. Lupin was like, well, once the key started, the timer's gonna go off. She's like, Floop.
I mean,
he
doesn't.
just told you.
No, he doesn't tell her about the timer going off.
He told me there was bombs, and she was like, click.
No, he tells her that if someone puts in the wrong password,
Yeah.
then it'll get lit on fire. He doesn't know about the bombs until.
Does she touch it?
It's still stupid that she just immediately goes in and then she like goes to Lupin like, well, you should have led with that, and I was just screaming, no, you should have just put the fucking key in.
Who gets told, oh, if we fuck this up, we're gonna set the book on fire, and she's just like, oh, I'm gonna touch
we're
it.
gonna try.
Yeah.
Like, aren't you an archaeologist? They're notoriously careful.
Yeah.
I have archaeology blood. Touch.
Yeah, well, your blood's about to be everywhere now.
It's in the blood.
It's in the blood.
I think it was very wholesome. Like,
Starting to see how her actual granddad died.
I was honestly just very impressed because to see, I'm assuming it was like their first attempt at Lupin in 3D
I
CG.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And especially for first attempt, you can tell they were very careful with it. Like, how can we harness this to
I
be,
think that's because
something we take to our advantage?
Yeah, I think that's because TMS didn't handle it in-house like they normally do.
We're
with
just looking this
Lupin.
up right now.
Animation was provided by Marza Animation Planet for the 3D stuff. So it was like planned out and, designed and written by TMS, the usual production company, and then it was handed off to...
You can feel that because even if it's 3D, it still very much feels Lupin.
Yeah. So it was like, it was, directed by someone who obviously very much likes Lupin and the kind of usual current staff.
Yeah.
I don't know if like there's a revolving door of Lupin staff, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
From like just the opening like credits with like the way the theme was going and stuff, you could tell this was made by people who know what they're doing.
And I'm glad, Yuji Ono, the composer, was obviously still around because he got to just go absolutely ham.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So I think that's looking at the time. I think we're all right.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think we'll close it here. We're kind of coming to the end of our thoughts.
Yeah. We said all we wanted to say.
Yeah. Very good movie. I enjoyed it just as much on the rewatch as well. It's always an interesting thing when you come back to watch something. It's like, will I enjoy this as much as I did the first time? With Lupin, I feel that's always going to be a resounding yes.
Wait, so for you, it was Lupin the second.
the second viewing. I kind of hope they do more 3D.
Yeah, I would like
I'd
to
go
see
back
this
to
style
it,
come
yeah.
back.
I kind of hope they like stick with this, not universe, but like established version. So like like the like the TV series kind of go through time. Like these movies could go through time as well. So it's like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
And maybe Letitia shows up again and she's in university and we see how that's going.
With the way it ended, it feels like we could just have so many more adventures.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even have to be like super huge scale or anything. It would just be fun.
Yeah. So
all over the world.
All over the world.
I will say I kind of felt like I maybe should have watched Lupin last as a sort of pick me up because
But Dead or Alive is not a pick me up.
It kind of was for me.
Okay, I guess we'll get into Dead or Alive first then. This was an odd one.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite Mamo odd. though.
No, it was nowhere near that.
Mamo
wasn't
was-
giant brain.
This is the thing is like every time I watch a Lupin movie, like in a way it either has to live up to the like reputation of Cagliostro or it has to live up to the absolute batshit conversation we got out of Mamo.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything except the first, just because like that is like a spectacle, hasn't done it yet. Which is to say this one, because I think we've only watched 4 Lupin movies so far. feels like more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really
Oh,
does.
yeah.
It feels like we're far more immersed in this series. I feel like we know these characters more.
Exactly.
There's a certain familiarity that doesn't feel like it's should just be reached by 4 movies.
Yeah, which I guess is a testament to how these movies characterize everyone.
Very well written.
Yeah.
Where, like, I think even after watching 2 movies, we were all like, this is my favorite character.
Yeah.
Which
This
was
is
Cagliostro and Mamo.
the 2 that are the furthest apart in
Yeah.
quality. I think.
Dude,
And it's
Zenigata can just do that.
Yeah, and like, interestingly enough, Mamo was the first Lupin movie, and then Cagliostro was the second. So those 2 followed within like a year of each other when they
Wow.
originally released, and they couldn't be any more different.
No.
No, not at all.
But I suppose that's what happens when you have Hayao Miyazaki directing one of them. You're gonna get a very different product. Dead or Alive is like aggressively 90s in some of
yeah.
its. The way it uses technology, like I had violent throwbacks whenever they used a computer, because like that was like very Windows 95.
Oh yeah.
The amount of floppy disks.
The amount of floppy disks.
The amount of wireframes.
Which I was watching the scene where they're in the sort of nano machine thing, and like Fujiko's there on the ground, and she's like, grabbed by all the nano machines, and she's trying to get the floppy disk into the drive, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you have it round the wrong way. You have it round the wrong way, and she's still just there, and then eventually it just goes in, and I'm like,
No.
nope, nah, it shouldn't work.
This is unrealistic.
It was like, if we're so used to seeing like regular USB drives as
Yeah.
opposed to tiny and small, and then it almost actually threw me for a loop. It's like, oh yeah, those things.
There's also a lot of Lupin doesn't take place in an era where, or at least out of what we've watched, doesn't necessarily take place in an era where you see that level of technology.
Yeah.
Because the first was set in the 50s. Hayao Miyazaki is Hayao Miyazaki, so whether it was set in 2010, he wouldn't have used, so it was weird seeing technology incorporated into like the heart
yeah.
of the movie. It's also very like 90s sci-fi to have nano machines and have them function
Of
as
that
they do.
type.
Of that type.
Where they're not just like little like swarms, they're more just like a robot that is called a nano machine.
Yeah, they kind of group together and make other objects. It's very Stargate in that regard.
It's more like a sentient 3D printer.
Which is kind of in in the Stargate universe. There's a thing called the replicas, something like that, kind of similar to what they're called in Blade Runner.
Because they're replicants.
Replicants. So I think they're replicators. That's what they're called. And they're literally like nanomachine people, and they'll like replicate someone and take on them and become like another like version of them. And this is kind of what this movie did a little bit with its nanomachines.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't really use the nanomachine. This movie is so strange, and like it has all of this stuff in it, and it doesn't really do anything with any of it. Because you got Panish, the prince, which it takes a long time to actually reveal, and then it's just sort of brushed to the side when it does. You got the nanomachines, you got the whole resistance thing.
Yeah.
And
I want to state, by the way, I don't think they actually call it nano machines. They call it the nano machine.
They refer to it, and I don't know how you guys watched it. Did you watch the dub or
I watched the dub.
Did you watch the dub?
I did not.
Did you watch the subtitles?
Yeah.
Because in the subtitles, there's no like the. So until it came up on the screen, I was like, and it's like not just the nano machines, it's the nano machine on the screen, like on the when they're looking at the computer, and I'm like. Yeah, I'm glad they must have like fixed the subtitles to make it flow a little better, because I'm like, if they're talking about the nanomachines all the time, I'd be annoyed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I will say, so you guys both watched it subbed then?
Yeah.
Okay, you missed out on one great thing at the beginning. It's that in the prologue when they're in that prison thing, which by the way has almost nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Well, I think
apart from like one character.
Yeah, so I think that's Lupin breaking the prince out, and I guess sometime after that scene, the prince just fucking dies, and the movie never addresses that.
I thought the implication by the end was that the prince actually was executed.
No, because he's
Like
in the
two-
car with Lupin.
Is he?
Yeah.
What?
Huh.
That's so they. Doesn't Lupin break?
No, he breaks out the advisor guy, whose name is Spanky for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
Yes, it's Shaun.
Spanky.
Spanky, the sort of drunk guy.
Yeah,
Names.
okay.
I recognized him.
I must have just been trying to fill in any gaps.
Because
No.
I ended the movie thinking, he was never alive. Like, he was executed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Lupin all along.
Yeah.
It was Lupin all along.
Which is kind of fucked up, by the way.
Which is
Yeah.
mad. Like, the film does nothing to really.
They went
Justify
through so much effort to make
Yeah.
this poor girl believe, like, her boyfriend was still alive.
Yeah.
To jump to the ending, by the way, the only like sort of slight justification at the end is that was a pretty mean thing to do to you, wasn't it? As a sort
Yeah.
of offhand, and I'm just like, oh, you think?
Oh, you thought this was the best way to go about it? You could have maybe told her. I feel like she would have been like, I'll help you out.
And then,
Yeah.
like, he even says, like, oh, yeah, also, sorry about not only me playing the part, but my friend playing the part as well. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, that's horrifically fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to sell it to her. You know, she's
Yeah.
like, no, she would go along with you if you were like, hey, just letting you know, I'm gonna pretend to be this guy because I want to overthrow your
Yeah.
government.
But that's
That
not
killed
even
your
his
boyfriend.
aim in the
No,
end.
it's not.
But how does he fill the nanomachines with that
That is
disguise?
my question. Did
They're
Did
not
the-
that advanced.
the nanomachine just not have a DNA sort of scan?
Well, this is it,
thingy?
because it never really establishes that it scans his DNA. It just sort of has a camera
Yeah,
that looks at people like
Yeah.
the tripods in War of the
that's
Worlds.
just dumb.
It is really dumb.
For a
but
nanomachine, that's dumb.
I was gonna say it's the 90s, but then they have nanomachines.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than the other implication is that the disguise is so well it perfectly replicates Panish down to the DNA.
Wow.
And that's a
Lupin
horror
really did.
movie.
It is a more like complex disguise in this one.
It shatters like glass, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's something extra going on, and it's weird because there's like one hint at the start of the movie that Lupin would be in a disguise because
Yeah.
like
I
he's
mean,
in.
there's two technically because you have the beginning one where he's revealed to be the warden,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then also when Zenigata finds Lupin, takes him, he also puts a disguise on the other guy to pretend to be him.
Ah, yeah.
Oh
but
yeah. I'm more meaning like
that's
the
sort
sort
of later on, though.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
a kind of I'd say one of his more normal disguises because Zenigata just kind of pulls it off like a Scooby Doo mask.
I mean, wasn't it the helicopter that started
Yeah,
blowing?
yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Wobbled.
Whereas in the start of the film, when he's dressed up as the warden, and then later when he's dressed up as Panish, it kind of shatters
Yeah.
more. Like there's
Very extravagant.
yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is it? Are you, Lupin, are you using nanomachines?
Is it a suit? Is it like a metal Iron Man suit that looks like a guy?
I am Iron Panish.
To get back to my point from like the prologue, by the way, for the dub, the warden and like his little sidekick. I remember looking at them and like, oh, this is sort of like Wario and Waluigi, but in the dub, that's exactly their voices.
Wow.
Like the
Oh.
Waluigi guy is very much like, wah, Lupin.
Oh, that's odd.
So you missed out on that.
Oh, I
I-
definitely missed.
You
out.
also missed out on the dub mispronouncing Jigen's name. It's Gigan. I can't remember if Goemon is mispronounced, and instead of Lupin, it's back to Lupin, which I can sort of forgive.
Yeah,
but-
I can forgive that. The reason I didn't watch the dub, and I don't know if I made a note of this in when I uploaded it to our production flowchart thing. It's a different voice cast, which
yeah,
I'm
I
sure you
think
noticed.
You did. I was just sort of too used to like Lupin being
Yeah.
dubbed, so I was like, I kind of just want to.
That's
hear it again.
fair. I've seen Lupin sub before, and so I was like, I like both the English voice cast we've been watching and the Japanese voice cast. I think the only one that they share in this film is Fujiko. I think she's still voiced by Michelle Ruff in this one.
Yeah, I think she might be. It's sort of a different,
Interpretation.
interpretation, but
I think in a lot
I think
of
that's the only one I was like, that could be the same person.
yeah, I think a lot of like when it comes to dubs, I think a lot of it comes down to you can have the same voice actress or the same VA in general, but it comes down to like direction as to whether you get the same convincing nature.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know what it is about this one, but it's sort of
The way, if it is the same person, the way she did it in this movie sort of reminded me of Jessie from Pokemon.
It's interesting because the voice in the Japanese one, I think, is one of the last performances of the original voice actress for Fujiko. Either she passed away or she retired, I can't remember, shortly after this one.
Hopefully retired.
Yeah, hopefully. And all the stuff I've seen in Japanese is like later Fujiko, so I'm watching it and I'm like,
Oh, it's
she
you.
sounds different. But like not bad either.
Yeah,
like
it's different.
it was good. My main point, sorry. This is dubbed by Funimation, which means like 90% of the cast are just all Dragon Ball. Because Lupin is voiced by Krillin.
Oh no.
Which I just can't do it.
This ain't it, Chief.
This ain't it, no. And then I think Vegeta, Piccolo, and I think he also voices Yamcha, voices Jigen. And again, can't do it. Can't do it.
In the dub, you can tell it's a very different Lupin because he's not got the same sort of high pitched. Not. Would you say nasally is usually how he sounds?
He's got a bit of a
Tiny.
nasal, yeah.
He doesn't have that in this dub. He's sort of more standard, deeper voice.
Boring.
Boring.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I heard it. Like, oh, that's dull.
He is very typical shouty shonen VA.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about the voice cast that we watch. They're very like they capture something about the roles, I think.
Yeah.
You know, Lupin in Japanese is also very kind of not necessarily nasally, but he's a bit more free flowing,
Yeah.
a bit higher pitched, and he's got a bit more dynamicism. And then I think no offense to like most people that work at Funimation, and again I think this comes down to my comment about like, you know, direction. They can't capture most characters very well. Don't get me wrong, some of them are fantastic, and I don't know if I say that of like Stockholm syndrome for watching Dragon Ball dub for like 20 years of my life.
We're not judging you.
But I couldn't bring myself to watch it dubbed.
I'm just too used to the dub.
That's fair.
I'm sure I'll make it up for the next one we watch, where I'll watch it subbed and be different.
Hopefully it's not the main cast then.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what I have on pre-order for Lupin at the moment. I think I have one film. I don't remember what it is. Yeah, what were we talking about? We went kind of on a tangent there.
We were just talking about Fujiko because I think her arc in this story is pretty good. Weird at the beginning where I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like
She's
we have like a gladiator style battle.
Spike tits.
With spike tits, and I'm like, what's happening?
Fujiko,
what the fuck?
I was watching this and I messaged Shaun and I'm like, I don't have the Street Fighter anime. What am I watching?
Because it feels like such a small moment that, like, I understand its significance in the story and everything, but I'm like, I feel like we could have done this without the spike tits, to be honest. I feel like we didn't need that here.
But what purpose did that even serve to the position?
It just raises so many questions as well.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Is she meant to be a good fighter because she's the bodyguard of the princess? But then she doesn't really... I would say she wins that fight.
She doesn't pop up again
she doesn't
either.
pop up again, no.
No, I just assumed it was like, battle for me, I'm your leader, I need to be entertained.
I'm gonna be honest.
Are you not entertained?
I'm gonna be honest. I think that whole scene is just purely there for the Fujiko introduction.
Yeah.
Probably.
It does. It has a very stereotypical
So many ass shots.
foot.
Look,
I'm not complaining.
it starts off with like Fujiko just takes off like the robe she's wearing and it's just full on.
No, she
ass
doesn't
shot.
take it off.
No.
She has knives thrown at her. That
Oh
shreds
yeah,
the
you're right.
robot.
It cuts off.
Yeah.
What an introduction.
Quite the introduction, but then we just immediately cut to the ass shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a moment later where she like sneaks into the office of like the dictator to get onto the computer, and
What's
she's
his
in
name again?
Headhunter.
Headhunter, yeah.
He even has a operating system named after him apparently.
Because he's evil.
And she's like in this like skin tight lycra
Leotard.
Yeah.
and there is like there are so many shots where they have added in like the detail of her nipples,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm looking at it and I'm like,
What?
what? I'm not complaining, but did we need this?
Yeah. Like, I like Fujiko as a character, but I feel like we still haven't gotten back to, like,
Cagliostro Fujiko fully.
I don't know if we ever necessarily will. Like, there is always some light sexualization, but I think some movies don't. Nothing, at least that I've seen, takes it as far as Mamo.
Where she's basically the damsel in distress.
Yeah, it's not so much sexualization as much as just straight up misogyny.
Yeah, because it was better here, but there were a few too many like shots where I was like, did we really need to animate this specifically, or take this shot from behind?
Yeah, I'd always have to push past like the ape brain whenever that would happen.
It was just like, I understand as an introduction of character, because you know she's like mysterious, she's hot.
I feel like
strong.
it always does this
works.
sort of thing for Fujiko, because like we fully get like a leg and ass shot when she shows up in the first.
Yeah.
But still, I feel like this was slightly too much. The beginning I understood, but all the leotard sequence, I was like, unnecessary. We didn't need it.
Didn't need to be a leotard.
No.
Something for the dads.
Yeah.
Again, why was she wearing a leotard? If she just walked around in her work clothing, people would be less weirded out than seeing someone in a leotard.
Yeah, because then like there's no real purpose for her being in it, because no one sees her. And then when someone does see her, she's already changed back into like her normal get-up.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're caught wandering around in a leotard or your normal clothes, I'd be confused by the leotard. Normal clothes is like, oh, you got lost? That's fine. Don't worry about it. What were you looking for? Let me help you out.
Maybe she's using the confusion to her advantage.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this film that happens that doesn't really serve much of a purpose.
I think that's fine though. But like the story itself reminded me a lot of Castle of Cagliostro.
I said this to Shaun.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
as
'cause
soon as
it's just, again, not kingdom necessarily, but you know, country where you have a girl that needs saving.
yeah, like the once you boil the plot down, it's like almost the exact same, to the point that when they first kidnap the princess that turns out to be a different character, I messaged Shaun, I'm like, wait, isn't this just Cagliostro?
It's to the point where I'm pretty sure that helicopter thing that they're flying in when they first get to the sort of vault is the same one from Cagliostro.
It looks
It looks quite similar, yeah. It was funny because when they captured the princess at the start of the movie, I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be Fujiko.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same.
And
I was also
then-
like, Fujiko, of course.
Yeah,
She
I
did
like
it.
the little sort of that it didn't play to that expectation.
That's
But
good.
at the same time, they took the wig off, and I'm like, who are you?
A new character.
Yeah,
Ole.
Ole.
Which is partially the reason why I thought this was Spain for a second.
Yeah, I get
Because
that.
you've got Ole and Panish,
Yes.
Yeah.
which sound very Spanish.
I was just like, Panish? Or like, you mean like punish? Because in like the original voiceover, it kind of sounds like they just say punish.
Yeah. There's a lot
The
of like,
Panisher.
because it's I think it's Spanky is sort of pronounced with a sh sound at the start, and the Japanese one's
Spanky.
Spanky.
Yeah.
In the dub, they full on just say Spanky.
Little old Spanky.
Spanky.
Why is his name Spanky?
Of all the names, he could have gone with like Johnny, and everything. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, no, this is important to his character.
Yeah. And he serves no purpose really either.
No.
He's just kind of there, like, oh yeah, remember the beginning scene? It's him. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's him.
He sort
Huh.
of explains something to the characters that they already know.
Yeah.
Or there were enough characters already in the film that could have feasibly explained it to
Yeah.
them.
Like, Lupin gets a few scenes with them, but from the reveal later on, you sort of realize he already knew everything he was told.
Yeah.
So... Also, I gotta ask, did Lupin also start the Resistance, or were they just around before him?
I
Look,
like to think they were around before, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's impressive how
did
much
he
he got
just show
done.
up dressed as Panish and go, I am
Your leader.
your leader? And they're like,
Okay.
yeah.
I kind of like the idea where, like, the Resistance have no idea about any of this. Like, he just comes on TV, says, I'm leading the Resistance, and they're just like, wait, what? Like, fuck it, let's just
our
go with
attack
it.
isn't planned for another 2 years. What are you doing?
No, I like the idea that they just go, fuck it, let's just go with it.
Fucking Westerners coming in and taking up the
Taking our
resistance.
resistance.
movements.
We're about to go into a very different conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty recently, so there's weird parallels going on.
I didn't expect that from a Lupin movie.
No. I'll be honest, until you mentioned Middle East, nothing in my brain clicked as it to being...
No, because the movie, I literally only noticed that because it said that on the Wikipedia page.
Wow.
I just, my first thought was Turkey.
Yeah,
That would have made more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like I've just seen too many anime at this point that like sometimes I just don't question where something is set. I'll just sort of take note of where it's taking influence from, but then again, like very little of it struck me as Middle Eastern influence.
Yeah, like, I mean, as I said, along with like the names of Ole and Panish, there was some sort of like, the way the town looked screamed to me like Iberia or something.
Yeah, there's one, I think it's where Ole's bar is, where you like come up the stairs and then there's like another set of stairs and there's water coming down, and I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I've seen this somewhere. I've seen this exact street in another movie, and I can't place where it is, and I'm pretty sure it was European.
I was literally saying to myself, I've been to Ibiza before. This is exactly what it looks like. So that's where I was getting that, and obviously that's Spain.
Just in the background of every shot in the town is
Just some British screaming.
Would have
you
made
just
the
hear
movie better.
caramel dancing in the distance.
Famed caramel dancing.
If I heard caramel dancing at any point in this movie, best movie of all time.
Oh yeah. Just yesterday I was listening to a trombone version of
Yes! Yes!
I will show you guys later. Trombone Champ has let people now make custom songs, and we will listen to the caramel dancing one after this podcast.
Oh, I want to.
I have both versions in my playlist. Like the
Wow.
original.
The original and the sped up.
No,
Or-
the original is in Swedish.
Swedish, yeah,
And
it's
then
very slow.
the English cover. I think it must be like a sped up version of the Swedish
Oh,
one, because
okay.
it's basically just the same instrumental, just different vocals over it.
Yeah.
If it's possible, can we have the background music of this episode be a trombone,
But it starts
trombone
now.
version specifically?
And it will just weirdly continue.
There's just going to be a visual of the tower from Half-Life 2.
The Citadel.
The Citadel.
Wow, the Citadel's never lit up that well before.
Lit. This is taking a turn. God. I feel like Ole's bar needed some music, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it. Also, she's a secret agent and owns a bar.
Yeah, I'm so
yeah.
confused by
Busy
that.
fucking lady, like girl boss. Hell yeah, but girl.
I mean, doesn't like the second in command guy whose name I'm forgetting, Crisis?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
That's his name.
That's a stupid name.
I know.
It appears we are in a state of crisis.
Just looks it
You
up.
called, sir?
But yeah, doesn't he explain at one point that like they set up her bar as like a favor for like her work or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
It sort of like hints that she's meant to be gathering information, but no one fucking goes to her bar.
Yeah, her bar is empty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hidden as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's a sign.
It's a small
There's
sign
a
outside.
It's a tiny sign.
Yeah, but it's like you go down the stairs and then there's like one of those kind of not archways, but you know, like insets.
Yeah.
And the sign is on the side of the inset that you can't see until you've walked down the stairs and are facing the door.
Look, her bar's clearly not doing well. She does not know how to make a profit or break even, I
Look,
think.
she hasn't been doing well for the last couple of years. Cut her some slack.
Her partner was killed. He was
Yeah,
executed.
exactly. She's been through a lot. Maybe she wants to hide away.
I like to think that like the new government with Headhunter was like, so I'm sorry I killed your partner. Do you want a bar? I'm so sorry, but like, want a
We can
bar?
repay you in alcohol.
There's a line, and I might be misremembering this, but I'm sure they even say that like they've gave it to her kind of in memory of him because he ran a bar too.
But
I
he
don't
was the
remember.
prince.
Yeah, that's what confused me.
I'm sorry, but a bar run by a prince is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like, would you like the royal special?
He just comes out and starts stripping.
That's a whole different type
That's
of
a whole
boss.
different type of bar.
Wait, no, if you have a name like Punish, you're only so few steps away from being a stripper.
You know, we got a lot of Fujiko love. We maybe needed that to balance it out. Equality.
Where have we gone with this? Sometimes
Now we are dead or alive.
Haha.
Also, yeah, sometimes we record these and I put them out later and I'm like, what the fuck are people gonna think when they listen to this? We sort of set it up as and have like this veneer of seriousness.
Yeah, we like to think this is the more serious of our podcast.
And it's not.
It's the more planned out podcast. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's more professional.
Yeah, that's it. I think I said this to Shaun while I was watching it. I think that this would have been more entertaining and more not palatable. And I said interesting, right?
You said interesting.
I'm trying to think. I had another word I was going to say and I've totally blanked it. If it were told non-linearly, there's so many events that happen over the film that like you could have cut this scene from earlier in the movie. I'm a bit far away from the mic there. There's so many scenes that happen kind of earlier in the film that you could have just kind of cut off the first like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when other things are happening, insert those scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the scene with oh fuck, what scene was it? There's a scene that I was thinking would have fit nicely in when Fujiko gains access to the computer. And I can't remember what one it was.
You try describing.
Nope.
If you could, you would be
Never
telling
mind.
us. Why am I asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many moments like the scene from the beginning of the movie would have maybe fit better. Maybe when we've met Headhunter.
Yeah,
Maybe,
absolutely.
yeah.
I feel like the scene where like Lupin first goes to like the sort of vault could have been cut in later as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, and Fujiko. That's it. The scene where Fujiko gets into the computer maybe would have like you could have cut her introductory scene and put it like there and explain why she's sort of. It would have given a little more context for that scene because currently where it sits in the film doesn't serve much purpose other than
Here she is.
here she is.
Yes, there's your ass shot.
Yeah.
There, and that's everyone done.
Yes.
We've hit all the target demographics.
All right, let's continue on now.
I guess we should also address the style of this movie. It's very different. And Goemon in like 50% of the films we've watched just doesn't look like himself. Because in Mamo he looks very off.
He's got that banana head.
And to a point where I think he's a slightly different skin tone as well. And
That's a bit. Ooh.
yeah. And here he is just a guy.
He's a guy.
He is a guy.
Yeah, but there's like when you see him and then you like see like a full like close up of his face, I'm like, you are very generic anime character in this movie. And then Zenigata's chin.
Yeah.
You could open
that's
a
quite-
bottle on that motherfucker.
I was, you know how you have butt chins? He has like a butt chin, but the cheeks are separated. Because
cheeks are malformed.
It is
Double
legit.
cheeked up.
On a Lupin afternoon.
It's like he's two like singular butt cheeks just
Yeah.
on the side of his chin, not on the front
Yeah,
of his chin.
because he normally has a butt chin.
But you need a small line to give that
Yeah.
definition,
Yeah.
not two
Here
separate
he's
sacks.
yeah.
He could clap with those boys.
He be twerking when he nods.
And he was fun in this movie because
Yeah.
I love how his character in this one just boils down to I will be wherever this fucker goes
Yeah.
and I will get him.
I do love the fact that it's a different, it's like on the opposite spectrum where he was in the first, where he was a lot more silly. In
Yeah.
the first, where in this one he is like more serious. He's still got the obsessiveness.
Yeah.
But there's a hint more of like badass.
Yeah.
He was gonna write a fucking book.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that dialogue in that scene was just great. It's like, I'm gonna write a book. It's called Love and War. How I call it.
Yeah.
It's like first I wanted to call it War, but I added love to appeal to the female audience.
Audience. Yeah, he knows
That
his
is a
demographics.
great line.
Yeah.
He's originally gonna go with like a really long name that I'm now forgetting.
Oh yeah, it was too long for me to remember as
Yeah.
well.
The way he said it, he was so proud of it.
Yeah, I was like, it's good that this is how you spend your time.
Yeah. This is what he's doing when Lupin isn't doing anything.
Yeah, he's like, well, better get this memoir out of the way.
Yeah.
For when I've caught him.
I think one of my favorite parts was when like it's after like Lupin's just escaped being shot at by like headhunters goons in like the beginning part of the movie, and either Crisis or Headhunter says there's no way Lupin could have survived that fall, and Zenigata just fucking wheezes.
Yeah.
Like, stupid fuck. You don't know. You don't know.
This is a man that's been through some
Yeah.
shit.
You haven't seen the things I have seen.
I was imagining like the bit from B movie for that, you know, Patrick Warburton's character's reaction image where he like turns around.
He's like, what?
The ending of this movie is a bit weird.
Oh yeah,
I
the
think-
ending is like the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like Mystery of Mamo, it had the quadruple ending syndrome. Where
Yeah.
you're like, and that, no, okay, that's not the end. Now we're, no, okay, we're going to continue. It's like, why do we, oh, okay, no, we're still continuing.
There's
Okay.
a full epilogue.
Yeah.
Didn't need the epilogue to me.
No.
The whole, I'm gonna go north. I'm gonna go east. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go west.
I think it's like you sort of have the scene over the cliff where they're like talking, and that could have been a nice end.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going,
And then Headhunter
and
shows
Headhunter
up,
shows back up,
and
and
he's made gold.
he's made of nanomachines because the
Ah,
nanomachines are. It's such a stupid.
The nano machine.
agitated
Nanomachine.
atoms of gold, apparently, and
They showed earlier-ish. They hinted at they had like an AU
Yeah.
like reflecting on I think Lupin's or Fujiko's.
I think it
eye.
was Lupin's.
And I was like, okay, so that's why they're interested. I
he has a
suppose.
full like line explaining
Yeah.
it, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Okay,
okay,
sure, man.
I guess.
yeah. I sent you that image. Like when
I guess.
when the film ended, I sent the like very pissed off guy where he's like, I guess.
I think it was that, yeah.
Because like, they kill the nano machine Headhunter, and he just becomes gold ashes basically.
and
I'm
like they get their treasure because they kind of don't have any at the end of the movie.
no, they had the giant mountain of gold, but
Yeah.
they did.
Apparently,
it.
the country took that, which
Yeah.
fair enough.
You know, they need some
Yeah.
help to rebuild.
Yeah.
Declare have you actually sent the I guess when it was revealed that Lupin was Panis.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But you just go, fine.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'm happy. Like they reveal that, and immediately, I think most people were like, "No, you were in the bar, and he was there." And then immediately was like, "Well, you might be thinking how I did this one. Thank you,
Well-
I'll go through it."
Actually.
I think I did say that it was a more convincing in disguise reveal than like some of the other ones, because even though we'd seen Lupin in disguise prior, there's like no reason throughout the film for us to believe
Yeah.
that Panish doesn't exist, which is a whole other can of worms in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
Because
But I-
suddenly your justification for him being in disguise falls apart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the immediate thing I thought of when I got to the reveal.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
No, it sort of for me breaks one of the like indelible rules of mystery, and that's that you have to put in enough hints to your viewers for them to conceivably be able to figure it out themselves, especially upon a rewatch.
Yeah, on a rewatch, it's important. First watch,
Yeah.
You should be able to at least look back and be like, oh, so that's why this.
Yeah.
happened.
There was only one singular hint that I got that made me sort of suspect, but at the time I was like, nah, that doesn't make any sense.
Is that the kiss?
The kiss, yeah.
I think that's too close to the reveal to count.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like if you read any Agatha Christie, it's like you can go back and you can sort of see all the
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hints and
Yeah.
points towards it. And I think if you watch Knives Out as well, it's
Yeah,
similar.
yeah. I was
Just to go
actually
for a
gonna
more
s-
recent example.
I was actually going to say Gravity Falls.
Or Gravity Falls as well, yeah.
Because there's hints throughout like that first season and the first half of the second season before a big reveal happens,
Yeah.
where you can sort of go back and you realize,
Yeah.
and it adds more context to already pretty good episodes.
Uh-huh. Any good mystery, you should be able to go back and put the pieces together and see how it led up to that. Whereas Dead or Alive, it breaks that rule.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
It's just sort of more in the sense of Here's a sudden reveal. I bet you didn't see that coming.
But I think no one would respond to this with, what? More like, what?
Huh?
Why? Why?
Sure, I guess.
Exactly.
Why the fuck
like,
not?
At this point, I feel like the way we all view Lupin, it's like, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Cool.
Do that. Yeah, I guess why the fuck not?
And it's funny, I don't think it's written by the original author, but this is directed by the original author.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like it should be a little more.
I was kind of hoping it would be better because of that.
I maybe
I
should
was
have.
scared going in, like,
Yeah.
because he's mainly like a manga artist.
Oh yeah, this was his one.
Yeah,
like
so-
because no one else would direct it, and he
Okay.
directed it and fucking hated it.
Okay. I was sort of scared going in that like this might just be something you can't do.
Yeah, I think he's very much said that like, well, he was director in name. Like, it's very much down to a lot of the other staff that the film came together the way it did, which is, for better or worse.
Yeah. You can sort of tell actually now that I think about it.
The film's kind of inconsistent, I'd say, like at times in a stylistic sense. And I don't know if that's something to do with like maybe the way the film's being preserved. There's a lot of shots that I'm like looking at and I'm like, that's very blurry. And it means that like characters are not hard to discern, but they don't look as
Well fleshed out.
yeah.
I mean, it misses some. Now you mention it, I feel like it does misses a bit of heart. In it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't feel the effort that's been put in as much as the other ones. I think.
Yeah. Like as much as Mamo is
Batshit.
fucking batshit, there's a lot of heart in that film.
Oh yeah.
And you can feel that everyone involved wanted to make that, and it's the same with Cagliostro. But then you have the whole thing of like Miyazaki's overriding vision and perfectionism, which we'll not
It's a
talk
whole
about.
other thing,
Whole
yeah.
other
Whole
thing.
thing. Yeah.
Here, yeah, it didn't feel like a work of love, I
Yeah.
guess.
Weirdly enough, I get that, and I wouldn't say it makes it good, but I did sort of enjoy the fact this felt more chill in terms of
I get
watching.
that.
Like it was easy to just sort of sit back and relax and just go with it. I think I'm the one that's mainly feeling that more than you two.
I think I don't necessarily mind that, but I think it expected you to go with too much.
yeah.
Like it would do things, and you're just expected to
I will say
be okay with it.
I was sort of hitting the limit of that by the end, because when it got to the point where like that fucking fake headhunter came in, I was like, oh, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they say, to not know that you were made of gold made me think art was
he
that
the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
But that wouldn't make
But that one that
sense.
came in at the end didn't have the bullet wound in his head.
Yeah, that's what made me think, okay, this must be one of the sort of clones he had made.
But all the clones were like massive.
Ginormous.
Yeah.
Dead
He
or
made
alive
one
does not
tiny
care.
one. He made one tiny one. It's like, he will be my friend.
Yeah.
And he just, Dude.
You always got to get a backup. You
you never know what can happen.
exactly.
Look at Punish.
Some guy could throw a knife.
Punish.
At a bullet and it would shoot you in the head. Because that
Oh,
happened.
don't. I fucking hate that.
I'm gonna be honest. I love that.
I'm like looking at it and I'm like, yeah, that's how a gun works, but that's not how you fire a bullet.
I'm gonna be honest. At that point, I literally have the note because I had notes throughout, which were basically my reactions I would have sent to you if I hadn't watched it first. And I think my exact note was, he threw a knife at a bullet to make it fire.
No, you're missing the key component here. He lodged
bullet
it in a
was-
tree.
Oh, he lodged it in a tree. Add that to that. And I just ended it with, this movie's fucking great. Oh, and looking at this now, by the way, there is a sudden tonal shift, like, near, like, the beginning of the third act, when Headhunter just beheads a guy.
Oh yeah.
Did anybody else think
Crisis
that was
gets
weird?
fully like cut in half as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Up
and then we
until-
just watched the blood drip.
Yeah.
Up until that point in the movie, there's been almost no blood.
Yeah,
in this
I'd
whole
say there's
movie.
been very little violence.
Yeah,
as
there's been cartoon violence,
Yeah.
with, like,
Yeah,
explosion and stuff, but then like this guy comes up to him, I forget what he says, like they've lost Lupin or something.
I think so.
I think didn't they say, oh, they're at this place?
Yeah,
or
like
something?
they couldn't
Yeah.
capture
Yeah.
him or whatever. And
Yeah.
Headhunter just straight up anime strikes through his
Yeah.
neck, and like the blood just seeps out.
Yes.
And he gets beheaded, and I literally, my jaw dropped when I watched that, and I went, oh shit.
Oh my wabo. Shinderu. Nani?
It came so out of left field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does take a sudden turn in the last
Yeah.
act.
Yeah.
Also, for a film called Dead or Alive, and the literal case saying there is a $1 million bounty on Lupin's head, the film does not give a flying fuck.
Yeah. The whole thing about, because even in the original voiceover, they say dead or alive.
Yeah.
In
Which
English.
is very
Yeah.
dead or alive.
They say dead or alive multiple times. in the
I think
dub.
they say it the once.
The once in English.
Yeah.
To really drive it home. Like,
Yeah.
you know the title of this movie? We couldn't figure out anything
said,
better.
Shaun, the clip from Arrested Development when they said it, where Ron Howard cuts in the narration going, hey, that's the name of the movie.
I just sent the gif of, you said it, you said it.
They said the thing.
It's the title. I get it.
They say it once, and there's Lupin's like, so.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You get,
this is
like-
gonna change the story.
You get, like,
Nah.
what, 3 assassins
Yeah,
trying
one-
to kill him?
All in one chase scene.
All in one scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 of which are never seen again.
2 of which are hinted at, and then 1 just shows up.
Oh, yeah. He just sort of falls into one.
Yeah.
And she's like, haha, I'm actually an assassin.
Yeah. Which, you know, I think everyone's seen coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she turned around and actually hit the guy, I was like, oh, you're an assassin. aren't you?
Yeah. As soon as he landed on her bike, I'm like,
That's too much of a coincidence right
Yeah.
there.
Now that we've said it out loud, I really wish this movie was just almost like the story of Batman Arkham Origins, where like the story is just Lupin's being hunted by all these assassins and he just has to escape them for like.
That would be
That
fun.
was sort of the film I was expecting, to be honest.
I kind of wish we had gotten that.
Yeah.
Instead of him just falling into this revolution
Yeah.
that's happening.
And leading it.
And
leading it.
Maybe accidentally.
Kinda.
Shaun!
And then he fucks off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, you'll figure it out.
That country's fucked. Where's Zufu?
Yeah. Okay, so ratings. I feel like I can't think of anything else to say about this.
No.
Okay, I can check my notes again because I do have quite a few.
I think for me, it's a solid 7.
Yeah.
It just misses that heart for me.
Yeah,
where I'm like,
I'd say 7. You
Yeah.
know, for the most part, the animation is competent, and stylistically, I do like what it's aiming for. So I mean, we haven't mentioned it yet, but I love how it doesn't matter what the fuck is happening on screen. Yuji Ono is just in the corner, fucking vibing on the soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like there's a part in the opening of the film where like it tonally doesn't matter. Oh, it's when they first go into like the whole nanomachine drift isle thing, and they're like fighting for their lives against them, and Yuji's just there with a sax, just
Yeah.
fucking vibing, and I'm like,
I was so close to almost hearing.
Yeah. We're back. Yeah, a couple more notes just to quickly spitfire them through. The 2 big points that made me laugh are both sort of similar in that they're sort of just parodies of brands. Because when Lupin sends that video to like head,
oh, so me.
no, well, there's so me on the thing, but like
Yeah.
his little ident at the beginning is just the 20th Century Fox logo
Yeah.
with Lupin the Third Productions. That made me laugh.
That made me laugh as well.
Like I was like, okay, that's the best joke in the movie. Somi is everywhere. I
Somi
don't know why
is everywhere.
Somi is everywhere. And the last thing I just want to mention, the dub has lots of accents.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh
That
no.
must make it so much more confusing as well. Are any of them Middle Eastern?
I think so.
Oh,
It's
no.
hard to tell.
Oh no.
Olay's given like an accent.
Oh,
Headhunter's
no.
given an accent.
Right.
Everyone that's not like
You get an accent. You get an accent. Everyone gets an accent.
basically
And the thing
everyone
is-
that's not like the main normal cast is given an accent.
And I watched the credits and I seen all the names rolling past, and I know it would have been like very mid 2000s Funimation dubbing this, so not one of them is not white. All of them are milk toast.
Yeah, like I don't think any of them were good. I'll just say that.
God, I wish they had redubbed this.
That sort of goes into the sort of Wario and Waluigi thing at the beginning of the movie.
Makes sense now.
Like, just imagine that sort of
Yeah.
energy in terms of how the accents were done. Only,
You know what I don't get? Discotheque have been releasing again, like re-releasing all the Lupin stuff onto Blu-ray under like a master license that they have. And like we've covered this sort of in the past where like some of the dubbing is messy as fuck. Like Mamo has 4 different dubs, Cagliostro has like 2 or 3, and then there's the different casts. And so you have the current cast, you know, Tony Oliver, Lupin, Richard Epcar as Jigen, the guy who plays Cortex as Goemon, Lex Lang, and Michelle Ruff as Fujiko. And then you have all the Funimation stuff. And what I don't get is why they haven't gone back and like redubbed all the Funimation stuff, because they are like the ones dubbing Lupin anyway right now. So why not cover it with a consistent voice cast who are sort of almost at this point to me institutionalized as these characters.
Like I will say, from watching the first, it felt like those were the natural voices.
Yeah, because they released part 1 of the anime, like the original run of the anime, on Blu-ray recently, and that was dubbed with the new cast because it had never been dubbed before. And then they dubbed part 5 and 6. And that, you know, it really kind of cemented these are the voice actors.
The canonical voices.
The canonical voice actors. So, I'd love it if they could have gone back and redubbed all these, especially hearing what you've just said about the accents, because that's a bit oof nowadays.
It is very...
With good reason.
Yeah. So, 7 out of 10 from you, Melina?
7, yeah.
I'd give it a 7, yeah.
I'd give it a
pretty fair.
7.
That's a
I
good
think
place to be,
Mamo ranks like a little higher. But again, I think it's like the bar of that is maybe elevated because the conversation we had around it was just fantastic.
If we're going by the conversation, Mamo would probably be about a 7, but I'm going to be honest, I'd rate it like a 6.
Maybe 6.5, but it's just because it wasn't a nice experience to watch.
Yeah, I think some of the animation I really liked in Mamo, whereas I can't think of any standout moments in Dead or Alive.
I will say I did sort of like the animation in Dead or Alive, but not in the same sort of
I like
dynamic
the
sense, and
style.
more like that sort of chill sense. Like I could have this as like a wallpaper, like on like my laptop or something.
I said to Melina when you were checking your notes, I like the style, but nothing particularly about any scene kind of sticks out as, you know, there's moments from Mamo or Cagliostro that I'd see and I'd know that's those movies.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I could easily get
it doesn't
mixed
stand
up.
out.
Nah.
I will agree.
So I think so.
Seven's all around.
Seven.
Yeah.
7.
Wow.
7.
Look at
Seven.
Insert that Friends clip.
Moving on to Lupin, please.
I had fun, but it's not a smart movie.
No. We got Nujiko, at least.
Nujiko. We're not calling her Nujiko. That scene made no fucking sense.
No.
It didn't, but I appreciated getting to see I appreciate getting to see Fujiko.
Fucking
And but like in a sense of like, outside of those scenes, right, where she's like kind of brainwashed or whatever, like this is
Kind of brainwashed her.
She was.
She was.
She was straight up.
She didn't
say
know her
that.
fucking name.
Like she's herself, whereas for most of these movies that we've watched, it's kind of in the middle into whether she's Fujiko or not.
It's not Mamo levels where she's just Princess Peach.
Yeah.
They give her agency. And they make her cool. Even though this is also the movie where she seems to have a clause in her contract where we always have to see her cleavage.
Yeah.
That's kind of her whole thing in general, I'd say.
I know, but in the other movies it wasn't as obvious.
We had a lot of like skin tight but high necked in the other
Yeah,
ones.
but we've also watched like the first and Cagliostro. And Cagliostro is Miyazaki, so more family friendly, and the first is influenced by Cagliostro. So those two.
I guess it was most obvious when we first see her because it's a normal shirt, but there's just a big boob window.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on, guys.
So she's like tutoring this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, maybe cover up a bit.
This kid, I did not like that fucking
No.
kid.
Okay, why? It's supposed to be funny, but she keeps calling him pedophile.
She does.
I don't like it.
Wait, do they say paedophile in the dub?
Yeah.
You watch a dub.
Oh,
I
she
watched
just
the dub.
calls him a pervert in the subtitles.
Oh no, in dub she calls him pedophile. That's what she called. That's to her. That's his name.
You know when I brought up like when we were watching stuff and I was like, oh, there's like different casts, and I was like, there's the one that with like Tony Oliver as Lupin and Richard Epcar and all that who are like the good cast, and then there's like the Funimation cast.
Yeah.
This was also my other issue with the Funimation stuff is that they are fucking liberal as hell.
Oh yeah.
And their interpretation of some stuff. That's way too intense.
Pervert would have been. It's still obviously
she
not
does
great, but
ask-
it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Creep would have done it for me.
Uh-huh.
I said that's a good level to be creep.
Yeah, she does ask if he's a lolicon, like I think in the like very start, but she just calls him a perv after that.
Yeah, no. Throughout the entire dub, she calls him pedophile. She's fucking screaming it. Even at the end when like they're supposed, she doesn't like hate him or anything. She's like pedophile. I hated it.
The parents should be like, "Excuse me, who's that?"
dude,
Like,
my-
come over
These
here.
parents do not give up.
My first
One obviously does not.
my first reaction was, how the fuck does she even know that word? She's like,
Yeah.
4.
That was my question. I was like, "What? How do you know what a fucking lolicon is?"
They don't even question how like that though.
I mean, she spends all her free time in the vaults. We don't know what's in the fucking
Yeah,
vaults.
To
I
be
mean,
fair,
the
the moment we
parents aren't
meet her,
shit.
she's been with Fujiko, so I guess all bets are off on what she
I mean,
knows.
fair enough. Yeah.
And the parents are shit.
They are.
Yeah.
They try to make the mum more sympathetic, but like, well, actually, they make the mum character weird because like,
Both of these characters are such nothing characters. They're vessels for the plot.
yeah, they make
Yeah.
the mum sort of more interesting. Where like, she's like, maybe I should run then, as a sort of like implying that she's also sort of power hungry. But then after that, she becomes standard wailing mum character.
Again, I think
Yeah.
that's really just like they've made her do whatever is needed to like move the story along realistically, because it's like you then find out it wasn't really her idea. She wasn't going to be running on any platform of her own kind. It was all through the Nostradamus sect that was going to be like her presidential standing. So it's like, well, there goes her agency as a character, and now she's just sad mum.
Sad mum.
Yeah.
Which, fair enough, your child went missing.
Yeah, I get it, but you know, it's also very standard.
Yeah.
I mean, they sent their child off with a tutor to go to Brazil. To just
Yeah, what
see
was
the
that
This was
all
the
about?
weird thing is they come from Brazil, and like the Brazilian football team are coming for her birthday.
Yeah.
I
That's some
mentioned
rich
this to you.
people shit.
I totally interpreted that as these parents have no fucking idea what to get a kid for their birthday, and they're rich, so they just go, oh, we'll just get the best football team in the world to play.
Yeah.
But she was also in Brazil as well.
yeah.
Going off of that, it's probably more of a public event for them than
Maybe,
an actual
yeah.
birthday party.
Let's talk about Brazil and the plane ride that gets hijacked.
Oh yeah,
This whole thing is like weirdly. Did anyone? No, I was gonna say people. They paid too much attention to world events.
oh
I mean, this
yeah.
was
when writing
pre-
this script.
Pre-night.
No. But there was a terrorist attack on the Twin Towers before this. in
Yeah, the
1993.
1993 bombing, and this movie came out in
yeah.
1995.
Ah, okay. Explains it.
It's so pre 9/11 that it's also takes way too much inspiration from another terrorist attack on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the... So
When
they,
that was the terrorist attack on
Yeah.
the World Trade Center.
these terrorists don't know what they're doing, first of all.
They're Lupin terrorists,
They're
so they're
Lupin
fucking
terrorists.
dumb.
Then they land. The man, a million? What was it? Just a million?
I guess, I think.
Which is not... Oh, I don't want to say it's not a lot.
Not a lot when fucking Fujiko's on a contract for 50.
Yeah, it was just
Exactly.
this little fucking kid.
And then they're like, okay, we'll let the women and children go. I'm like, well, that's your one bargaining chip you had over there.
What have we got left? The guys?
Yeah, they don't care. And then they, at some point, they get out of the plane, immediately shot, fully
Yeah.
just shot to death.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they're
I
gone.
know they're terrorists. Jesus Christ. But they said 1 foot outside, and we just see guns ablazing.
He has a knife. Can I just... I love that whole opening scene that we're like, they're gone. Lupin has the bomb. Zenigata comes out.
Oh, and
he's like,
Zenigata like starts diffusing
yeah,
it.
instead of running with Lupin to escape, he's like, I'm going to defuse this bomb.
He legit said, it's my duty. I'm like, no!
Dude, no!
I know how to do this. You just do this and that, and oh no, the timer isn't stopping. Oh, okay, I guess I'll do it. And it's
At the end, he's just rapidly pulling everything.
He fucking bashes that thing to shit and it's still counting down.
And at that point, you're like, well, he took the bomb parts off.
Yeah, what's it counting down to at this
Yeah,
point?
like, it's just the timer
Yeah.
now. Because it was implied the bombs are in the case.
Yeah.
He took everything out of the case.
timer
but
was the actual
timer.
bomb. Everything else was just fluff.
Oh my god.
He survives that, by the way.
He does.
And I'm gonna be honest. This feels like a movie where he didn't need to be there.
No.
Which I know for Zenigata, that's
Most of
them, but at
Yeah.
least it didn't feel like it was funny enough to be earned.
Yeah, they kind of then try and make the joke of his character in this movie that he thinks Lupin's dead and so he's depressed, but
Yeah.
at the same time they don't do enough with
No.
that.
There's one funny scene that comes out of that when like he's mourning with like Goemon and Jigen, and and then he goes, "Wait a minute, I'm supposed to arrest them. Oh, they're gone."
I think this movie, for me, really, like, establishes, like, Zenigata doesn't want to kill Lupin. Just wants to arrest him. Just like Lupin doesn't want to kill Zenigata. They both enjoy
They love
the
chase.
Yeah.
so
It's all
much.
about the chase.
And like as much as it was not necessary for the story, just having those little edges sprinkled in there, I
Yeah.
always appreciate it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I don't think the movie's lessened by it. I just
No.
think, you know.
No.
I think they could have been more clever in how they used Zenigata and when he shows up to foil Lupin, because he shows up at like the most useless times to interrupt him.
It's when the plot doesn't know where to go from here.
Yeah. Like he shows up when he's escaping the prison island thing, and then it's really kind of just because of that Lupin ends up in the Amazon, which I'm also like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
What?
he ends up in the Amazon, wakes up, is eating coconuts. Tidal wave.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. That whole sequence, I swear to God, I had to rewind it for a second. So I was like, did I miss a scene?
Yeah.
Because like he's getting dragged away by sharks, and then we just hard cut on an island drinking from coconuts.
The whole middle section of the movie has like no linking scenes. Lupin just ends up in the Amazon, and then he meets like
He meets Go Diego Go.
he meets Diego.
I think it's Sergio.
Sergio is the name of the character.
Because that's the other stereotypical Amazon name.
And then like he takes him to the old woman, and the old woman brings in Fujiko, but she's called Tanya.
Yeah. The old woman, by the way, that won't let Sergio sleep in the hut. He sleeps on the boat because he's a little shit, apparently.
And then like Lupin's like, oh well, I'm better now after like 30 seconds.
After naked Fujiko
Because
is next to him.
Tanya, who's not Fujiko at this point because she's still hypnotized, decides I'm gonna strip and just cuddle with him and then leave.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, I sort of got it in the sense of like, you know, give him body heat and stuff, but then she only lies there for like 10 seconds and then just leaves. It's like, yeah, that's not how that works.
No, and I don't want to say Granny could have done it, but Granny could have done it.
Yeah, but we
I also feel like Granny would have died.
Maybe, I don't know.
She wasn't
would've
much
got,
of a character anyway.
hypothermia or something from doing that.
She wasn't much of a character.
My
anyway.
point being that then Lupin just ends up in like a room that has Julia, the little kid, and Fujiko, and there's no linking moment there. It's just he like is sneaking around somewhere, opens a door, and it's like, oh,
Here you
Child.
there's the child and there's Fujiko, and it's like, wait, how did you get into that place? Why are you sneaking around it? And how did you find this fucking room?
And how did the child get there?
How did the child get there?
She's the hostage. Did they just misplace her?
And then he gets put in like a prison cell and stuff, and then stuff happens. And then, that is the middle portion of this movie. It can only be described as stuff happens.
Yeah. We don't know why or how.
We
but
needed
it's
to
just-
get the beginning of this movie to connect to the end of the movie. We weren't entirely sure how.
I don't want to say the whole Sergio bit could have been cut.
Yeah.
Because they tried to make it emotional, but by the end being like, what are you going to do with the money? Buy Sergio a new boat. I'm like,
Okay.
I don't care.
That's gonna
It
cost
was-
you like $40.
Yeah.
At most.
The first
have
thing
a
I said
million.
when they said that was, buy him a boat, you can get him a fucking yacht.
Yeah. I'll buy him a new
Or
canoe.
better yet, just take him out of the fucking Amazon.
Yeah.
What if Sergio likes the Amazon?
I don't think he'll complain about living a life of luxury.
Let him have his Go Diego Go show.
Dogi Eagle.
Dogo Bogo Bo.
Bogatigable.
Sergio. You need to stop making noises. It's going to sound very racist.
Yeah, as it's straying into a little bit of
I will say that it was stupid as fuck with that little like part at the end when Lupin and like the little kids they were gonna just get on a boat. That was kind of cute. I found it kind of cute.
I guess.
Again, they have a million.
Exactly.
Still,
Like, from a 4-year-old, I expect it.
From Lupin.
No. If at the same time they said something different, it would have been funnier.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, and then, you know, she
don't
can
know.
go for another, oh, wait, pedo.
Also, this film just ends.
It does
Yeah.
just end.
Unlike every other Lupin movie that has 7, 8 endings.
Yeah, this one just stops.
They just stare at the destroyed tower, and the credits just roll.
And it's the credits are initiated with a part of the building just fucking falling off.
Yeah, I was like, you guys gonna move? That's
Because
gonna
I'm
come
like,
down.
oh, are we getting like another like 5 minutes where like the villain's not going to be dead or something, or you know,
Yeah,
someone's
right.
going to show up?
Is it gonna be like plot is gonna still keep playing while the credits are rolling? No.
That's what I thought. I'm like sitting through them, like, okay, when are we?
So, wait.
Are we just
That's it?
staring at this? It's been 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, the whole building. Which I'm like, yeah, I know you keep making the Tower of Babel, like, comparison there, but it's the clearly evil layer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he has his face on. And I'm like, well, that's the first red fucking flag.
The guy's an asshole.
Yeah, like, all he cares about is his whole presidential candidacy. He's not even in the running yet. He just has to announce it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
hasn't announced it yet.
Yeah, and they're like, don't announce it or we'll kill your child. I'm like, just don't announce it. Just do it.
I mean, he's too much of a vain dick.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
like, just think of what this will do for my approval numbers or
He's-
the fucking polls or whatever.
He's Trump, isn't he?
He is Trump. 20 years before Trump.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he could have milked the shit out of it. Like,
I mean, that's kind of what they were implying he was going to do at
Yeah.
the start, and then he didn't.
yeah, like, if he just went to the president and be like, they have my child, I can't run anymore, that's gonna get you so many sympathy votes. Like, they'll change
Yeah.
the rules, you
I-
can start running later, it's no problem.
Yeah.
America.
Look, the movie isn't smart.
No,
No.
It's a Lupin film, so I wasn't expecting it to be.
but some sense of they know what they're doing would have been nice.
This is the thing: is there's like no real established motive for why the Nostradamus sect want the book, other than
Power.
yeah. But at the same time, would it give them power? Like
They don't explain this whole
Nostradamus sect?
thing.
No.
They just say, I predict the end of something big. Like,
We get
Okay.
one scene that sort of gives an idea of what his motive is when they do the weird Blofeld reveal scene, even though we know who he is.
Yeah, like you know who it is as soon as
You open the door,
Yeah.
and you hear him.
yeah.
But like if I remember right, he talks about like we're going to rule the world after it's destroyed or whatever. So it's like he actually believes this shit, but also he doesn't.
yeah, it's because the weird thing is like. Sure, he may believe in it, but all the stuff he's like, oh, well, this happened, and this is what this, quatrain means. They caused all the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, this tree's gonna fall down tomorrow. They start chopping the tree. Like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not really
Yeah.
a belief if you're making it happen.
Like at the as the initiation of like the last act of the film, where it's like, what does this quatrain mean? And he's like, it means this tower is gonna fucking blow up. It's like,
I believe
yeah.
I believe that this kid's gonna get shot. Why? Because I'm gonna shoot them.
oh, well, then that's not really a prediction, is it?
No.
A warning.
Well, it is. I'm just making it happen.
This is a tall fucking tower. Like,
it is really
Oh,
tall.
it
they
is.
say 100, 200 floors.
Something like that.
It is a city in and of itself.
Yeah, like they build it to be a city, but they don't make it look big enough from the outside.
No, it's
No.
like a TARDIS.
Yeah, like they're like, we have football fields, we could host the Olympics in here. I'm like, yeah, but then you show us that a plane fits in the mouth bit. Which,
Yeah.
of course, as soon as they were like, we're gonna land, I'm like, don't tell me the mouth's gonna open. Don't fucking
Yeah.
tell me the mouth's gonna open. And it's just, they don't show. You just see something opening. It's, oh, that's a fucking mouth.
Yeah.
And then the little tarmac like runs out like a tongue. I don't want to say it's predictable, but oh.
The fact they land a Chinook in there, those things are fucking massive.
From the out, every external shot of this building makes it look sort of just like that one building. And is it like Saudi Arabia or Dubai.
Oh, yeah.
Like the actual tallest building in the world.
I was thinking about you know how they want to make a long strip of building in Saudi Arabia as well? Where everyone lives within this long line of building.
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah. But I was thinking of like the really tall one, and
even Burj Khalifa. The Burj Khalifa?
I don't know the name.
I think I know which one you're talking
about. All I know is that Tom Cruise climbed it.
I think that was Burj Khalifa because also I think was it Fast 7 or something? They did like a car coming out of it.
No. That's great, but no. But yeah, I was thinking of that building and like that's still not big enough for what's in this building.
Yeah.
Because there are like fucking football stadiums within football stadiums.
They can host the Winter Olympics.
No, you can't.
The thing is, when you see it like from like as an aerial shot, they have like a 4 like lane highway, which is going to be like a dual carriage on each lane running through that fucker.
Yeah, structurally, what the fuck? They
This
also
thing
have a
would
big
collapsed
pendulum.
immediately.
It's like out of a sci-fi movie. Like I've seen sci-fis do this sort of like.
And to be fair, it tries to go a bit sci-fi.
It does.
With the 90s virtual reality at the end, fucking VR troopers.
We are VR.
They also have a giant pendulum just
I was
swinging about in the building.
I was about to bring up the pendulum.
I forgot about the pendulum.
No wonder they bring it up once.
They bring it up twice.
Oh, twice.
Yeah, they bring it up the first time where they explain that
Because they're going up like a left and goes like, and that's the big fucking pendulum right there.
that negates earthquakes. And then
No, it doesn't.
Only other time it's brought up is when I can't remember if it's the dad or if it's the leader of the Nostradamus sect ends up like on it.
Oh, it's the leader of the sect.
Yeah, as it's like collapsing.
You can basically swap the characters with each other.
Yeah.
The same character.
I remember thinking, oh, this must be a metaphor for something, but I don't care.
I love how they never ever like they explain it and then never show it being used.
Yeah, I was like, I'd like to see an earthquake, and
It's
people
like-
thanks to the pendulum, this thing is still standing.
Yeah,
It's like set up. Are we gonna pay off? No, set up.
Like,
And it never establishes
say-
where in America it is. But so this pendulum could be utterly useless.
I'll be honest. At first, I thought we were still in Morocco.
yeah, it took me a while to be like, okay.
It's not until he's sitting with the American flag behind him, I'm like, we're in America?
Yeah, either this is America or this is a very elaborate embassy.
Yeah.
That is the
That's
embassy.
the embassy. But I'm like, where in America are we? Because this pendulum could just be like the most useless thing you've ever built because it's only like certain parts of America that get bad earthquakes.
So let's assume California is
Nevada.
something there.
Right next to Las Vegas.
Does any of like Los Angeles or California or Nevada have buildings that fucking tall?
No, but they could.
Because I feel like there's I feel like those states have like laws in terms of like how high the buildings can be.
Yeah, and the foundations of it and stuff like that.
But
Yeah.
he's
Which,
rich.
you know,
But he's
is all to do
rich.
with the fact that they have earthquakes.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, but they
just-
don't have pendulum.
This guy shows up, want to build a fucking tall building. It's like, we have regulation. Now what if?
Hear
Put a
me
big
out.
ass pendulum.
Just pulls out the pendulum card.
Let him cook.
Let him speak.
Not to worry, I have a permit.
I also
Just
want to
a
put my
blank piece
face
of
on it.
paper. Sonic. Psychic paper.
Psychic.
Yeah, it was a fucking journey.
It was. I had a lot of fun, but it didn't make any sense.
No, I think it's very much a brain off. Pretty pictures go. Brrr.
That's,
That
how, you,
was
that's how you go
basically-
into a Lupin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, 7 out of 10.
Thankfully, no Hitler this time.
Oh, thank
Hey,
God, no Hitler.
Yeah, I was at some point I was like, should we get an off mention or something? Like,
See, when she went into the vault, I was like, see if Hitler fucking shows up.
I was expecting another brain.
I mean, they have an eagle statue that is familiar looking in the vault.
Yeah.
Which I was like, is this the reference we're gonna get? Is this all? I was, expecting a little more, but I'll take it.
Why are we disappointed by the lack of Hitler references?
It's happened twice, which isn't a lot. It's just
If
weird.
I had a penny.
It's just that sort of thing, like where when it happens more than once, and it was like kind of consecutively that it happened.
Yeah.
For us, anyway.
It's now sort of expected. It's like,
Yeah.
is it gonna happen again?
Yeah.
I mean, Nostradamus could be
A reference to, perhaps, because he's making it up as he goes.
With
as
the
we
way the
find
banners
out.
were held. Yeah.
Yeah, he does kind of have like especially when you see him at the start of the movie, he's like a cross between the Pope and Hitler.
Also, he shows up in Vatican City. You're not allowed to do that in Vatican City. So this one my boyfriend watched with me, and we were just debating. He's like, how did he get there? Like,
I'll
how
be
is this
honest,
allowed?
I didn't even know that
And
was in
then
the Vatican City.
I just was like,
I must have blanked that.
Yeah.
the first thing I thought was like, he's killed the Pope. he's murdered the Pope.
Honestly, I was expecting him to be the Pope or something like that.
Yeah. They could have easily been like, the Pope's gone evil, and I'm like, this is a great fucking
Yeah, like
movie.
the
I
whole
love this.
Nostradamus
He's
sect
Pope
being
too.
the whole Nostradamus sect being like the Vatican Church or something like that would have made like at least some more sense.
Because now that, to me, they were more painted like the Mayans. Because they're like, this is going to happen in this year, and we have our own calendar and
Yeah.
quadrants.
Quatrains, so it's like
Yeah.
a rhyming scheme of 4 or something.
Yeah.
Fucking weird like that. I only
Would've
know
made
what a
sense.
quatrain is because of the book Ready Player One. Because it's
That's disgusting.
it is a heavy focus of part of the plot, and
great.
it goes in depth. And I'm like, why am I reading this book?
And then you read the sequel.
I did. That was fucking awful. Ready Player One is like a great kind of guilty pleasure book. Like I'll put on the audiobook and just listen to that, and it's like it's dumb, it's fun. Ready Player Two is just fucking awful. Anyway.
It's been a journey. I'm trying to think of this.
Not one to the stars.
No. At least there was no big brain rocket.
Yeah. But we did have a terrorist attack on a vaguely familiar tower
Yeah, with bombs.
with bombs,
In
and
the
that thing
90s.
got fucking devastated.
Oh yeah.
Also, the bombs were placed by the Brazilian soccer team.
With footballs.
Was a weird Maradona reference? I don't know if anyone caught the
No, I
vaguely
didn't.
Maradona looking guy.
I
mean,
did. I'll be
yeah.
honest, I did.
but he was Argentinian and not
oh
Brazilian.
yeah, so you're off.
Yeah.
So close!
Because I seen him and I'm like,
The ankle of God.
because I seen like the hair and the beard and I'm like,
Is it?
surely not. And I like looked up Maradona and it's like Argentinian and I'm like,
No.
you got the spirit, but you're a little confused.
Yeah.
But they make it seem like the whole, like this evil guy made the Brazilian team come to the building so he
There's-
could hypnotize them because they have such good aim
Well,
to then get football bombs stuck in nooks and crannies.
I hate that the moment Fujiko reveals that the bracelet is like a mind control device, is you remember the beginning of the
Yeah.
movie and you're like, are you fucking serious?
The fact that the Brazilian football team is such a big plot.
Yeah.
Like, what would, because they portray it's like, okay, the Brazilian football team's coming for Julia's birthday, but there's evil guy who's like, or I use them to get my football bombs all
We kicked
over
the bombs
building.
in the strategic
Would
place.
kicking a football that's also a bomb like detonate the bomb?
There's
want
timers.
I want an edit now where like the first one that kicks it just immediately blows it up, and we just cut to the end of the movie.
Like either the kick is gonna blow it up or it landing where it's supposed to go with the sheer fucking velocity.
Because, like, yeah, they don't make it seem, the balls are not sticky.
No, they just
make it
lodge
clear.
them in places.
They really lodge them, but even the best players in the world
Yes.
could not do that. Just
No.
let me get it in there. Where do you want it?
I mean, has
Got
anyone
it.
watched a fucking penalty shootout at the end of any football game?
But there's no goalkeeper, so they could do whatever.
They still don't fucking hit
Yeah.
more than 50% of the time.
It's just the fact that, you know, you have Mystery of Mamo, which features Hitler, and you have this with the Brazilian football team.
That's the thing for this movie. Every Lupin has to have a thing.
They have to have some, you know,
Cagliostro had
grounding
those
to reality.
The clan.
Yeah, the clan. Mamo had Hitler. The first also had Hitler. I don't know why we had Hitler twice, and this movie has the Brazilian football terrorists.
You know, they need to be like, no, this is real life. This is not some different universe. Look, we have the Brazilian football team.
What did Dead or Alive have? Wario and Waluigi at the start?
I guess.
Ish.
Kinda.
They had Nazis, right?
No, the first had like secret Nazis.
Oh, a secret Nazi still a Nazi.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you.
But Dead or Alive?
Dead or Alive didn't really have anything stand out, I don't think.
No.
Disappointment.
Oh, it had the rebellion resistance thing, but that's not like a real life thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is, but not in like a direct reference to anything
Yeah,
specific.
Now I'm more disappointed by that movie because it didn't ground me in reality with the Brazilian football team.
Yeah, there wasn't anything in.
I also want to say it was funny that like when the Brazilian football team got like hypnotized, they had different colored eyes.
Yeah,
That none of the other hypnotized people had.
there was like red, white,
There was yellow.
yellow. It was really weird.
Yeah. They all had a unique color.
I love just mentioning the Brazilian football team. It's such a nice sentence to just throw in there.
Yeah.
You know, when the Brazilian football team won.
Can we talk about the fact, by the way, that the Nostradamus guy has like sex trafficked girls following around him, and they're never really freed?
No.
They just sort of disappear after Fujiko gets unbrainwashed.
Yeah, there's like a kind of
yeah.
weird
Yeah.
subplot where like when
That's a bit
Lupin's
fucky,
going
isn't
into
it?
that prison to like meet his
Uncle.
yeah,
We
sure.
went through this whole thing without mentioning he has an uncle now.
That's a weird interpretation of the dub because they just call him old man.
Yeah.
Oh, they call him uncle.
Weird. Because it's old man, whatever his name is.
Old man
And this-
Phil.
Philip.
Philip.
They just call him old man Philip.
Oh, they specifically say that he's his uncle in the dub.
Stop
Yeah.
watching the Funimation dubs.
But I like the dub. It's funny.
Yeah, and then so old man Philip. Let's talk about that. He
Wait,
drowns.
no. We can't go from sex trafficking women just yet. We need to.
Okay, yeah. Let's drown that.
let's finish that thought.
Yeah. Because he goes into the prison, and like when he's on his way in there, he sees Fujiko, who's coming out as part of like a lineup of comfort women.
Yeah,
It's
they
very
said
Handmaiden's Tale.
Like they say servants.
No, they say that they bring them in for like visitation or something like that. Like there's a weird kind
They-
of.
they make it-
There's a weird vibe.
They
Yeah.
make it sound like it's voluntary, but clearly
It's clearly not.
I mean, when we find out she's brainwashed later, it might be voluntary, but she doesn't have any fucking memory of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ugh.
yeah, no, creepy, very creepy.
Yeah. But yeah, old man Philip. Sorry.
Yeah, so he finds old man Phillips. They escape from where they are.
Yeah.
They drown. Then fucking Lupin's like, "Let me take a keepsake." His
And then
eye.
it turns out to be plot relevant.
Yeah, the glass eye.
But let's talk about how the fact that like they're like drowning, right?
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like, oh well, I guess old man Phillips is dead, and just like leaves him. But if he was dead, his body would float. His body sinks. He just let that old man die.
To be fair,
Lupin!
he does go throughout that whole scene after he's dead, like just holding him around, like, "Hey, why are you speaking to me, bro?"
Yeah,
What's happening?
like,
I mean, he could have been unconscious.
His
do you
eyes are
think
wide
Lupin-
open, my god.
Yeah.
Are
that's
they?
fair.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them is bound to be because it's a fake eye.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
But like,
I just find that whole thing weird. It's like that
They're underwater for so long.
they are.
And then he just take eyeball. It's a keepsake. That's how he phrased it. A keepsake.
keep's sake.
Yeah, and it's like, surely this won't be relevant later
Yeah.
to the plot.
I was like, oh, there we go. There's the MacGuffin.
Also, was old man Phillips? Did he already only have one eye prior to
They didn't
breaking into the tower, or
I
did
don't think
he
they showed
scoop his own eye out to put that fake eye in?
I think that was the implication.
Scoop.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
It's like that one part in like what Dead Space.
Oh, don't remind me of that. Jesus. Oh, that's one of my. I love Dead Space. I fucking hate that part of the second game. It's so. Oh.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, for context, Melina,
thanks.
you get to the end. So in Dead Space 2, you're like on a like space station thing. You've been like imprisoned or whatever, and like this religion that worships the marker. I think it's called.
I don't know enough.
You haven't played either of them.
Yeah, I just know the scene.
Yeah. It turns out the marker like infects them and turns them into like necromorphs, which are like
Space zombies.
space zombies, but like
Zombies, got it.
spiky appendages and bleh.
Spiky space zombies, blah. Got
Bleh.
it.
Monsters.
And you're like kind of trying to take them down in the second game. And you get to this point where like you're kind of infected, and I can't remember the full context for this scene because I haven't played it in like 10 years.
Yeah, they've got to like replace like your eye. Or
You've got to like take your own eye out,
Tasty.
and you have to do it as like an actual event in the game.
like manually.
Like manually. You control like this needle. You gotta like center it over like the blacks of his eyes. And then like initiate it, like go, and you see everything. It's fucking horrific.
Oh,
Yeah,
that must
no,
be
no
double
thanks. Like, no
horrible for
thanks.
you.
Yeah, I fucking hate needles. I think if they remake the second game, they'll probably end up adding an option to skip that. I fucking hope.
That's fucked up. Anyway, what were we talking about? If old man died.
Old man Phillips taking his own eye out.
Yeah.
Scoop.
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 God, I think that's the whole movie. Nothing makes sense, so there's no point in talking plot.
No. It's just like a sequence of events.
We say as we've talked plot for like a lot of this.
It's really just like a sequence of events that are loosely tied together to make a Lupin adventure. Yeah. And I'm not against that.
I sort of mentioned this. It sort of weirdly makes it what I imagine the show is like. Not exactly, obviously, but
no, the show makes more sense.
I know it makes more sense. It just, I don't know, compared to the other movies.
I would say, like, in terms of, like, I guess stakes, this is more what the show's like. Take away the terrorist plot.
Yeah.
Which Lupin kind of has no real direct impact or lack thereof.
Because they blow up anyway. He doesn't do anything to stop that.
And he only becomes aware of it at a point where he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, because the main terrorist guy who's not the sect leader.
Yeah. Also, that is Goemon's only function in this movie, is to show up and go,
slice.
Yeah, he does the anime.
Yeah.
And then the main bad guy goes into the VR torture chamber. Because that happened.
Yep.
And then he sets them off.
Yeah.
Also, there's a VR torture chamber that this kid regularly plays in.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't
get tortured.
She doesn't get tortured because she is
still. It's a bit
allowed.
It's a bit fucked.
It is a bit fucked.
Yeah. Oh.
It's such a 90s interpretation of VR as well.
The helmets, it's all.
And the fact that he's just suspended in midair. It's like, how are you doing that?
It's VR. Yeah. It's VR. You don't know VR, bro?
That's not how VR works.
That's not how VR works.
It's VR. It's not
you can't just put on a helmet and go full deep dive.
No, this isn't fucking SAO.
Score
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
It's 6.5 for me. Yeah. Can't say why. Maybe the nudity from Fujiko just was a bit too much for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I did see this Reddit post that I sent to Shaun that was I really love the intimacy between Fujiko and Lupin in this movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry, she is brainwashed in all of the... they show the 4, screenshots of, her lying next to him.
The non-consensual kiss.
The non-consensual kiss. And I'm like...
My dude, did you watch the movie?
Yeah.
That was my thing, and I was like... None of the comments on this post brought that up either.
To be fair, it wasn't a very popular post. It only had 12.
Yeah, but still, no one mentioned it.
Nah.
That would have been my first thing. It's
my guy.
My guy.
Dude.
Wow, you made it all the way here, huh? Yeah, thank you for sticking through all that. It was a very long episode, bringing together all of the Season 1 segments for Lupin III. These are all available in varying degrees, whether you're in the US or the UK. Castle of Cagliostro is available in the UK through Studio Canal on Blu-ray and DVD, though it is lacking the dub that we watched for this episode, for the episode that we recorded at the time. And the first is available via Anime Limited or Aldi Anime. You can get it on, pretty much everywhere that you can buy that, but you can also get it through their store directly. I think the collector's edition is probably sold out by now. That's the version I own, but there's no difference between that and the standard edition other than, extra stuff like a booklet and nice packaging and stuff like that. And it's not lacking any of the features that we watched. If you want to watch Mystery of Mamo, Dead or Alive, or The Farewell to Nostradamus, those are only available on Blu-ray in the US via Discotheque Media, and they're not streaming anywhere in the UK as far as I'm aware. They may be on Retro Crush in the US, but that is only available in the US. It's not got a UK version of the service yet. So yeah, thank you for sticking through this. I won't trouble you too much longer with a very long outro, so we'll see you guys in the next one.